National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola confirmed this over the weekend after officers arrested one person believed to have pulled the trigger in the Van der Merwe murder. Van der Merwe was shot and killed shortly after his testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where he implicated suspended Ekurhuleni senior Metro cop Julius Mkhwanazi in criminal activities. Masemola, however, says it is too early to say whether the murder was directly linked to the victim's testimony.
All I know is that they were both involved in other commission of other crimes, and for now the investigation, the person we've arrested is the person we arrested for the killing of witness D, and I think more will come out as time goes.
Meanwhile, Masemola has dismissed suggestions that police officers are afraid of criminals. Suspended head of organised crime at SAPS, Richard Shibiri, told the Madlanga Commission recently that he could not publicly reveal the names of suspected crime or a suspected crime kingpin due to safety concerns for himself and his family. Masemola says officers are employed to confront and arrest criminal elements.
Police officers are there employed to arrest criminals. I haven't seen a police officer that will fear criminals. A police officer must face criminals. If it means it's a fight, let it be a fight, and we expect the police to win.
The South African Army has warned that it will deal with criminals by any means necessary. More than 2,000 soldiers have been deployed in the Free State, Northwest, the Western Cape and Gauteng to support police stabilize crime hotspots. SANDF Chief General Ruzani Mapwanya says the exact timing and locations of army deployments will be determined through operational planning within security structures.
We are going to ensure that the state apparatus is empowered to have the monopoly of force, and will carry those arms, and if you challenge us, we will show those criminal elements by any means.
Emergency services are on high alert in Limpopo, monitoring flooded areas in the province. Heavy rainfall over the past 2 days has left roads damaged and some low-lying bridges submerged in Vembe, Waterberg and Mopani. The flooding has also forced a temporary closure of 2 border posts between South Africa and Mozambique. Mongezi Koko reports.
Premier Poppy Ramathuba says disaster management teams are responding to distress calls from communities after some areas received more than 100 millilitres of rain. Mudslides have been reported along the R523 between Kalaba and Sibasa, while some parts of the R33 in Waterberg have also been affected. Meanwhile, the Border Management Authority has suspended operations at Pafuri and Giriondo, ports of entry, due to rising water levels in nearby rivers. BMA spokesperson Meme Mokhotsi.
There have been no injuries or damages to the infrastructure reported.
The South African Weather Service has also warned that Limpopo could continue to experience heavy rainfall until the end of March. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
And flights have been temporarily suspended at Dubai's international airport shortly after a drone sparked a fire nearby as the war in the Middle East enters a 3rd week. Dubai Civil Aviation Authority says this is a precautionary measure to ensure the safety of all passengers and staff. The civil defense teams contained the fire resulting from impact to one of the fuel tanks in the vicinity of the airport. Gulf states have faced more than 2,000 missiles and drone attacks since the US and Israel targeted Iran on February 28. US diplomatic missions and military bases and other critical oil infrastructure in the Gulf, as well as ports, airports, hotels, residential and office buildings have been struck during the escalations. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi has told CBS News that Iran is not interested in talks with the US.
We don't see any reason why we should talk with Americans, because we were talking with them when they decided to attack us, and that was for the second time. There is no good experience talking with Americans. We were talking, so why they decided to attack us? So what is good if we go back to talk once again?
Gold is trading at $5,018.70 an ounce. The rand is at 16.83 to the dollar, 22.32 to the pound, 19.27 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $104.27 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got a major accident seen on the N1 North in the Midrand area. It happened near Olifantsfontein Road. It's causing heavy delays. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between the Yelands interchange and the Geldenhuys turnoff. That's due to an accident.
And in your sport, the Blitzboks won the New York Sevens title as well as the overall series title, while Aleppo's stunner helps Kaizer Chiefs end a run of 3 league losses, and a late Richarlison goal hands Spurs a vital point at Anfield against Liverpool as they look for survival in the Premier League.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. Johannesburg and Vereniging both starting at 14 degrees, peaking at 22. Pretoria 16 and 23. The top story in EWN this hour. Police are searching for one more suspect in connection with the murder of Marius van der Merwe, who was a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702 on 92.7 and 106 FM.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And on DSTV channel 856.
Well, good morning. Welcome to 702 Breakfast. I'm Stephen Grutterson for Bongani Bingwa this morning. As you know, not my usual time for waking up. If I say anything about a show involving money, well, you know, we'll count them, and at the end of it, I'll tell you how many I did. Anyway, lovely to have you along. Been a long time since I've spoken to you at this time of the morning. As you'll know, I'm listening all the time, so it's quite weird to sort of be on the other side at this time. There's so many interesting things going on in the world at the moment, and obviously, just wonderful also to be working with Amogalang Ramela. KG's on the desk, Moteo Goripe is on business, Robfiwe Kone and Bapalile Sambo are taking your calls. Anthony Tosheda will bring you the latest in sport. My old friend, Saviso Zulu, is going to give you the latest news as we go through the morning together, you and I. We'll be telling you what's going on in the world. We'll be telling you what's going on in your community. We will, unfortunately, have to talk about the people who are leading in Joburg and Ekurhuleni. There seem to be some changes there. We'll keep you very much up to date with what's happening around Iran, that conflict involving the US and Israel as well, having so much fallout in so many ways. And one of the things you just can't see, for me, the real story, must be what's happening in Iran. How many people are dying? Very hard to know, partly because the Iranian officials blocked the internet. So there's no communication. So, you know, that's the reason why. And that doesn't help journalists who are trying to get a comprehensive picture. Also great to hear from you through the morning. 011 8830 702 and 072 702 1702. Let's say good morning to the team, shall we? Amo, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Steve. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well. I was thinking about you the other morning because you'll remember we were talking, and you came on the Money Show, and we were talking about how traffic has increased, and it's increasing by 4.7% a year going into that's off the SANRAL data that's on the big highways going into Joburg. And I often wonder, how on earth do you get it all done? Because at the moment, traffic has been chaotic this year.
Oh, it has been chaotic, Steve. Also, just adding on to the problems that we see on the roads every morning is the roadworks, and as well as for instance, if you travel in the Sandton area every morning, we've got several. There's a college that's been built right on
Emirates
Grayston
College, yeah.
Yes, it's right on Grayston Drive, and then there's the BRT Ravaya bus lane that's just been added onto the road, so it just creates more traffic. So infrastructure as well as roadworks continues to add on to the problems.
Mateo, good morning. I presume your business bulletins are all going to mention that 3-letter word oil.
Of course they are. Of course they are. I took a bit of a break from that this weekend watching Pirates, but that didn't work out well. So yeah, I'll be definitely talking more about oil and how that's going to be affecting South Africans and motorists in the country.
Indeed. Obviously, lots of changes. You've been looking at our banknotes. And I mean, I remember reading last week, I think it was, something like over 50% of people still only use cash. They don't use anything else.
Yeah, I'm one of those that still cash.
Really?
Cash is king. Yes, it's nice to tap my cell phone now and then, but I always have a note or two in my wallet, as I do now, because this is South Africa. You know, so you needed to buy vegetables on the side of the road and things like that. They still don't use things like tapping and stuff. So I'll be talking about banknotes, but I'll be telling you why. Do you want me to ask the question now?
You can ask the question if you like.
I want to know which landmarks or maybe notable figures in the country you still want to see on the country's banknotes. Is it leaders? I don't think that'd be too popular right now. Or some of the famous landmarks that you'd like to see. Maybe elsewhere in the country? The Table Mountain on the notes. What other landmarks or notable figures would you like to see on South African banknotes?
I have to say, I quite like the skyline of Joburg. You know, that shape with the Hillbrow Tower and the Ponte and all the rest. I always think that's quite a nice, that's something that's quite recognizable to a lot of people. And maybe, I don't know how you would do it, but I would probably put Vilakazi Street in Soweto, where Nelson Mandela and Archbishop Desmond Tutu were living. It's sort of famously the only street in the world that has 2 Nobel Peace Prize winners living on it. But I would look at something like that. Thank you for that. Interesting to hear your suggestions on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Good morning. You're with 702 Breakfast. It's 12 minutes after 6.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
So, news over the weekend, and I don't know where this is going to go, but Dada Morero, we understand, has been recalled. The Sunday Times had it yesterday. Other people are reporting that. And this is a decision by the ANC's region. I have to say, I was talking to someone 2 minutes ago who was saying to me, just before I came on air, didn't have water, didn't have electricity this weekend. I can't imagine that they're feeling any reassured, are they, Amor, that Dada Morero will be going. I don't think anyone, I can't think of a political leader who people will miss less. I mean, isn't that a terrible thing to say? A poor man.
Oh, it is indeed. And I can't, the thing about Dada, and good luck to him for this. I mean, he's gonna, if he remains mayor, but I don't hear him enough. I don't think I've got a mayor. I don't hear his voice. I don't hear his. I mean, I said this weekend we didn't have power and water, and I was forced to stay at home because of that. Yeah. But also, I was just thinking, where is I don't hear no response from our mayor. There's no, engagement, constant engagements. I mean, a lot of people know that Helen is also running for the mayoral candidacy, but she's so loud. Yeah. You can almost hear Helen, even if she's not saying a thing, because she's out there. She's visiting people. On the other hand, I'm just not feeling like I have a mayor.
The other thing that strikes me as quite strange is if I were the ANC, if I were an election strategist, what I would have done is I would say, so if I was thinking only of the elections, and I don't think the ANC thinks outside of itself enough, I think it thinks too internally, is I would say Dada Morero is going to take all the bad news. We're going to work very hard to turn things around. And then about 6 months before the election, we'll make it Loyiso Masuku, who's the deputy mayor now, and go from there. Unfortunately, the only image I have of her, the only recent image, is of her celebrating after voting for her own raise in the City Council of Joburg. And Mateo, you know a thing or two about money. That's not a good look.
That's never a good look, especially if residents are saying you're not doing the work. So giving yourself a raise is not a good look at this. I think there's been a lot of own goals, whether it's local government, national government. We've heard all sorts of outrageous statements are coming through from the ANC. And I think with what Am was saying, there's not enough of the positive stuff. Even if it's something you think, it should be obvious for us to know. I think you let residents know we've sorted out the reservoir, we've sorted out this particular construction site, it's now working. I think make the noise now before things like you facing an ousting, So, it's a really tough time for them now.
Yeah, well, it's going to be very interesting just to watch. And as you say, I mean, you can't look at WhatsApp in some of the middle-class suburbs without seeing a video of Helen Zille, because she really does seem to be anywhere. I don't know how you're feeling about that at the moment. Dada Morero, what will you remember him for if he does go? I'll probably remember him for, I think, as Amos says, just not being able to grasp and deal with the problems. And I remember when he became mayor, he actually said, don't expect change quickly. The problem is, we've had change quickly, just the wrong direction, but supposed to go the other way. Instead, things seem to be going, you know where they're going. It's 6:15.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Weather.
Well, it's going to be cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers again in Gauteng. Welcome to March. And it's going to be like this, I suppose, until the end of the month. You know how it is in March. Tshwane starting at a low of 16, peaking at 23. Johannesburg, a low of 14, a high of 23 degrees. Vereeniging, 14 and 22. Bombela, 17 and 25. Bloemfontein, 14 and 30. Durban starting partly cloudy, a low of 23 degrees, peaking at 29. Will be nice and sticky. Gqeberha, 20 and 28. East London, 21 and 28. And Cape Town, if you're going there, 23 and 34. People are talking in Cape Town of really extreme weather over the last few days. I mean, in some places in the City Bowl in Cape Town, they've been saying it's been 43 degrees. Can you imagine trying to work or move around or walk on the streets of Cape Town at 43 degrees? No. More than enough reason to just come back to Jozi and stay here, I would say.
EWN Traffic.
Amo, how's it looking at the start?
Well, Steve, we are off to a very busy start. We've got a couple of accident scenes reported already on the R21 North in the Kempton Park area. It happened right near the OR Tambo turnoff. It's causing heavy delays. Another one in the Midrand area on the N1 North near Olifantsfontein Road. The N1 South is also backed up due to the scene due to onlookers there. And if you're traveling on the N3 North, bumper-to-bumper traffic between the Fort Rucker Road split on the N12 towards the Geldenhuys interchange. Another accident seen there, as well as roadworks aiding up to this pile. But I'll keep you updated with more updates as and when they happen. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Good morning, Bra Steve. Good morning, Moteo. Good morning, Amo. What a beautiful Monday morning. Moteo, to answer your question in terms of the landmarks on our banknotes, I would love to see Table Mountain in one of the banknotes, and also the UNISA building. You know, the UNISA, as you approach Pretoria day or night, hey, that landmark is just saying, yes, no, I'm home. You know, so yeah, I would love to see the UNISA building in one of the banknotes and also the Table Mountain. Thank you. Have a blessed day. JT from Soshanguve.
Hi, Muteo. On the banknote, I think I'll put what a main challenge currently, like water or even infrastructure. Maybe I'll put a pothole in one of our notes. Thank you.
Put a pothole on a banknote. I'm trying to imagine the artistic graphic that could make that work. I mean, would you have something growing in it? I mean, what?
That's one idea, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I understand the sentiment. I mean, a reminder of what we mustn't do. Sure. I mean, you could probably have Joburg's traffic on a banknote right now, Amor, after what we've been seeing over the last little while, because it's just been, I've been driving early in the mornings recently, and yeah, it is worse than anything I've ever remembered. Oh, I love those ideas. On a banknote, what would you put on? Please keep them coming on 072 702 1702 this morning. I know that there's been so much talk about the SANDF deployment, and you would have heard the head of the army, the head of the SANDF, Rudzani Mapwanya, speaking in the news bulletins, and I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of his voice over the next little while. I was trying to think of the message you want to send. He's using the phrase, we will sort of stop crime by any means necessary. And I kind of want to say, will you do absolutely anything? I don't know if that's such a good idea. And I was just thinking a little bit about it, because I'm sure when you listen to this show in the mornings, you hear so much kind of emotion at that level. So think, for example, of Donald Trump. Think, for example, of Benjamin Netanyahu. Think, for example, of what the Iranian spokespeople say. We haven't yet seen the new leader, Khamenei, the sort of younger. We haven't yet seen him speak. And I actually am not sure if he does speak in English or not. But what I would like to say, though, is just when you're driving your kids around and you hear all of this war talk, how does it make you feel? Because I think sometimes we lack kind of people to look up to who are political leaders, sure, but who can do nuance, who can say these are the things we need to do, and to sort of speak in a constructive way rather than just that war talk. I don't know if it makes you feel in a particular way every morning. I think it makes a lot of people feel a bit anxious. If you ever sort of wonder why are you anxious and you've just got to work, well, maybe there's a little bit of that. And I know some people tune out. I understand that. But all of this war talk. I mean, can you think of anyone who doesn't speak like that at the moment? It just feels that everybody sort of does, and we kind of don't have any. What's the phrase? Adults in the room. We don't have any of those people. I mean, the only people I sometimes think really are kind of adults in the room are the central bankers. Don't you think, Matteo? I mean, you see Lesetja Kganyago, there's an adult. He's gonna say something mature. You see it with most of the other central bankers. You look at the politicians, you just, oh, wow.
I mean, they use the numbers, so I think they're a bit matter of fact. They like using the facts rather than how they're feeling emotionally or trying to win over a constituency. So you'll hear central bankers, if you really want to know what's going on in the world, I think listen to them. You'll hear the truth and nothing but the truth. I mean, we've seen it with the US Fed Chair Jerome Powell, sticking it out with President Donald Trump and digging in his heels. Even though he's about to go out of office, he's always kept it true to say our central bank mandate is to protect the U.S. Americans, living daily life, not really the politicians up there.
It's interesting. I mean, someone said to me that politicians often talk about the world as they want it to be, whereas when you talk about money, when you talk about central bankers, when you talk about where people are putting their money, it's the world as it is. I think that's such an interesting point. There's been a lot of talk about the Border Management Authority, or agency rather, what people have been saying about the problems there. The SIU had that big raid, those investigations into Home Affairs officials, and we know that it's actually not that hard, unfortunately, to sort of buy South African citizenship or permanent residence or any of those things illegally. Major General Bongani Bingwa is with the SAPS, the Free State Provincial Head of the Directorate for Priority Crime, so with the Hawks there, essentially. And she was talking over the last day or so about what happens with Border Management Authority officials and how they don't like to be promoted. They don't like to be promoted.
The additional allowance, which is that additional salary that comes in. They are okay not getting promoted. They are so okay. I'll be a constable. I'm a sergeant. I'm fine. I don't know how your ranks go, but I'll talk about mine. They're okay. And it's not normal for a person to want to remain stagnant without growth while the years are going by. So you have to ask yourself, what could be the problem? Then the additional allowance, and remember the additional allowance at ports of entry doesn't go with e-wallet, doesn't go with bank account, because we want to see it now. You want to cross now, you give it to me now. So you look at the collection for the week and the impact of the collection for the month and the collection for the quarter.
Yeah, interesting to hear that, Major General Bongani Bingwa. And also, I suppose, Matteo talking about cash there, isn't she? When she says people, they don't want it e-wallet, they want it now. That's cash.
Yeah, I just need to clear out that's not what I was implying.
No, sure. I mean, of course. All right, let's have a look at the 5 things you need to know this morning, 24 minutes after 6.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, the US-Israeli war with Iran entering its 3rd week. Pope Leo the 14th making his appeal during the Angelus prayer at the St. Peter's Square, calling for an immediate ceasefire. He's condemns what he calls the atrocious violence in the Middle East. He says war cannot bring justice or lasting peace. There's a mature leader for you, actually. The Pope also raising concerns about Lebanon amid tensions involving Hezbollah and Israel, saying violence and using God to justify killing must be rejected. Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom, I think, there. On Sunday, voters in the Republic of Congo, that's not the DRC, that's the other Congo, it's a very long river, they went to the polls in a presidential election, expecting the longtime leader, Denis Sassou Nguesso, to have his rule extended. He took power in 1979. 1979, still in office. Wow. Several opposition figures are jailed or in exile. Some parties are boycotting the vote. Turnout in the capital, Brazzaville, seemed low. The internet monitor NetBlocks also reporting a nationwide outage on election day. Surprise, surprise. You know, whenever I hear of a government blocking the internet, I just know what I think of them. Automatically, I know where I am. The results are expected there in the next couple of days. During the AFC Women's Asian Cup in Australia, have you been following the story? Several members of the Iranian women's national football team, they accepted what are called humanitarian visas that would allow them to remain in Australia. They wouldn't have to go home. That's because of tensions in the Middle East. But on Sunday, the Australian Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke said 3 of those players did decide to return to Iran. Only 3 of the original 7 are still in Australia. We're missing one somewhere. And Adam Gilchrist will tell us a bit more. But also, are you going to just give up on your family? I don't think people do. I think they go back to their family if they can, especially during this kind of moment. The Rolling Stones, you know the band? Have you ever wondered where the name actually came from? I didn't know this. It comes from a 1950s blues song. It's called Rolling Stone by the legendary Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters I did know of. 1971. He won his first Grammy Award. His sort of birth name was McKinley Morganfield in Mississippi, and he electrified the blues. He moved to Chicago, shaping a sound that influenced rock music for decades. He would go on to win 6 Grammys. And then You're All I Need to Get By. If that sounds a little familiar, it's Tammy Terrell singing with Marvin Gaye. And Terrell passed in 1970 from brain cancer. Just 24. Born Thomasina Winifred Montgomery in Philadelphia. Started singing as a teenager. Worked as a backup singer for James Brown. Rose to fame at Motown. Her duets with Marvin Gaye, including Ain't No Mountain High Enough, became timeless R&B classics. Makes you wonder how many hits she might have given the world, eh?
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far. Don't worry, baby. Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from
702.
The newspapers.
Sophia, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen.
How are things?
All is well. I'll tell you what. Ain't no mountain high enough for National Treasury because it is cracking down on municipalities that are underperforming. This is a front page of the Business Day on their budgets after figures from the second quarter of the 2025-26 financial year pointed to underspending to many, including in the critical water management sector. So it released a report last week. This is Treasury and the data shows that the country's 8 metros, Joburg, Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, Cape Town, eThekwini, Nelson Mandela Bay, Buffalo City, and Mangaung, collectively spent only 31.5% of their 5.8 billion rand budget on treatment works and pipelines. So basically, they are not doing enough to improve water infrastructure.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And then just lastly, Stephen, speaking of local government, we're talking about the metros. Page 2 of the Sowetan, there is Citizen. There's reaction about Dada Morero's axing. The DA is basically saying this is due to residents also again being not satisfied with the service delivery. It has nothing to do with political messaging. It's just basically we want basic services and the improvements of water infrastructure, potholes and fixing potholes and electricity and the likes.
Yeah, no, it's astonishing to see it all play out. Sophia, thanks very much indeed.
EWN Business.
Mateo, hi. So, landmarks, figures, things we should put on countries' banknotes. How's that playing out?
I'm asking that question, Stephen, because the Bank of England says it will swap historical figures for native wildlife. Now, this opens a fresh front in Britain's increasingly charged battle over national symbols. The UK is currently experiencing contentious battles over the national symbols, particularly the flag, the Union Jack, and the St. George's Cross. These debates center around the national identity in the UK, with some viewing the flag as a symbol of pride and heritage, while others, including local councils, have faced criticism for removing those flags, sparking controversy over whether they represent unity or exclusivity. Now, the Bank of England held a public consultation on refreshing its money last year and found nature emerged as the most popular theme. Landmarks were second, with historical figures coming in third. Now, the bank said it was looking for images that symbolize symbolized the UK, resonated with the public and weren't divisive. In South Africa, we introduced new notes in around 2023, and those, of course, features Nelson Mandela in the front. That's why they're called Randelas, and of course the big five families at the back of the notes. So that's why I wanted to know whether you'd like to see other symbols and other figures from the country on the notes.
Such an interesting conversation to have. I mean, in a way, we're asking what sort of defines us, what makes us, what symbolizes us. Actually, quite a complicated conversation. How are the markets so far?
Markets week on Friday, Stephen, was a big fall for the all share, down 2,000 points. Also, some losses for Asian markets this morning because, of course, oil prices remain elevated. The rand at this hour, 16 rand 83 against the US dollar, 19 rand 26 against the euro, and at 22 rand 31 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $5,023 an ounce. It's flat this morning with platinum at $2,063. Brent crude at $104 a barrel. More business after 7.
This Eyewitness News is brought to you by Momentum. Financial advisors help you have a better shot at generational wealth. Speak to a Momentum accredited financial advisor. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. 6:30. Good evening again. I knew I was going to do that. Good morning, Safiso.
Good morning, Stephen.
What's happened in Eldorado Park?
Well, police are searching for at least 8 gunmen linked to a shooting there that left people dead and 6 others injured. And authorities say the attacker stormed a social gathering on Saturday night and randomly opened fire, leaving 2 people dead. The motive for the shooting is unknown, and police spokesperson Brenda Muridili says the suspects fled on foot.
The police are searching for suspects after a shooting in Eldorado Park that left 2 people dead and 6 injured on 14 March 2026. No arrests have been made yet. If anyone has information, they can contact the SAPS Crime Stop number.
Meanwhile, Ward Councillor Dwayne Ponsonby says stronger law enforcement is needed in the community.
It's really time that law enforcement start doing what they have to do. The gunslingers are living as if there is no enforcement or law, or is that there is no consequences within our areas, and it seems like a thing that we are all okay with. We can never be okay with this.
At the same time, the South African Army has warned that it will deal with criminals by any means necessary. More than 2,000 soldiers have been deployed in the Free State, Northwest, the Western Cape and Gauteng to support police stabilize crime hotspots. SANDF Chief General Rudzani Maphanywa says the exact timing and locations of the deployments will be determined through operational planning.
We are going to ensure that the state apparatus is empowered to have the monopoly of force and will carry those arms. And if you challenge us, we will show those criminal elements by any means.
Emergency services are on high alert in Limpopo this morning, monitoring flooded areas. Heavy rainfall over the past 2 days has left roads damaged and some low-lying bridges submerged in Vembe, Waterberg and Mopopani. The flooding has also forced the temporary closure of 2 border posts between South Africa and Mozambique. Mongezi Koko reports.
Premier Poppy Ramathuba says disaster management teams are responding to distress calls from communities after some areas received more than 100 milliliters of rain. Mudslides have been reported along the R523 between Kalaba and Sibasa, while some parts of the R33 in Waterberg have also been affected. Meanwhile, the Border Management Authority has suspended operations at Pafuri and Giriondo ports of entry due to rising water levels in nearby rivers. BMA spokesperson Meme Mokhotsi.
There have been no injuries or damages to the infrastructure reported.
The South African Weather Service has also warned that Limpopo could continue to experience heavy rainfall until the end of March. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
And the South African government says it's reviewing Israel's submission before the International Court of Justice for its genocide case ahead of deciding its next step. The matter, filed in October 2024, accuses Israel of breaching international law and committing acts amounting to genocide against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Israel has submitted its formal response to the ICJ after being granted 2 extensions. Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says the government is considering whether to file additional written arguments or proceed to oral hearing stages.
South Africa remains committed to playing its part, along with others, to fulfill the promises of the Genocide Convention and the UN Charter to liberate humanity from the odious scourge of genocide, as described by the 1948 UN Genocide Convention, and save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, as universally pledged in the UN Charter preamble.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 14 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs between 22 and 23.
And in the traffic, we still have got that accident in Kempton Park along the R21 North. It happened right near Atlas Road. It is causing heavy traffic volumes. Please be on the lookout there. There's also an accident in Midrand along the N1 North right near Olifantsfontein Road, also slowing down traffic.
The top story this hour, police are searching for at least 8 gunmen linked to a shooting in Eldorado Park.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone, so I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Part of the 702 family.
Hi, it's Michelle from Krugersdorp. I can absolutely say that my entire life has been consumed by news from the time that I was 4 years old and watched Rian Kruiwagen, and still to today I listen to the news, and it's because it's made me a well-rounded person and understanding what's going on in the world, and I thank the 702 family for that.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Hey guys, this is Robert Marawa, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. Playing responsibly is part of the winning strategy. Make smart choices and continue to score. If you or someone that you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Transport doesn't just move people, it moves the economy. This week, the future of SA's transport system takes centre stage at the National Transport Conference hosted by the Department of Transport. It's the 16th to the 18th of March at the Gallagher Convention Centre. Catch the Clement Manyatela Show live from the conference today for insights and more from the leaders and decision makers driving the sector forward. Find out how stakeholders are tackling critical issues from rail reform, port congestion to road safety and sustainability. Brought to you by the Department of Transport on 702.
702. WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
You know, Stephen, I'm not even a DA member or voting for DA. I don't see myself doing that. But one thing for sure, even now, it feels like Helen Zille she's the mayor of Johannesburg. The way she's going around doing things, and if she keeps up that, she will get more votes. I'm telling you, she's gonna run that city. Dada Morero once said, "Don't expect too much from me." He's not a mayor. He's not capable of being a mayor. I don't know why people are complaining. And he was forced to the people of Johannesburg. Remember, he's not running the metros. It's the political party who are voting themselves amongst themselves with their deals that they are making. They disregard the voters, what they wanted. And we are going for local elections. They must be careful. So this thing of saying Dada Morero as if now the ANC has won, and now we're talking about Masuka as if the ANC has won. They never won any metro. So they must just get out.
Hey, Manu Ray, Aubrey and Fosloras. Ray, Dada, we're not going to remember him for anything because he did nothing. In fact, the ANC is wrong. They are supposed to pull out of the race as the ANC for the Joburg mayor. Because through the ANC, remember we once had there's someone called Kabelo Kwamanda from Al Jama or something. Just imagine that as a mayor of Joburg. That was the worst of them all. Now that there are big guns, Helen Zilla, the ANC must just withdraw from the race. Thank you, Tere.
Yeah, no, look, thank you. I mean, I find what I would love to hear is anyone who's still supporting the ANC. I'd love to hear that side of the argument because it's kind of all one way. And as a journalist, I worry about that when things are one way. I understand it. I mean, I live in the city. But really, I do want to hear the other side. Please, on 011. And I won't be horrible to you. I'll let you speak. 011 883 0702 if you feel a bit more confident. 072 702 1702. Good morning. I'm Stephen Curtis. You're with 702 Breakfast.
EWN Sport.
Anthony Trishada, I was just worried you might forget my name.
Yeah, I was actually playing it in my head. Should I say good morning, Ray? Should I do that?
What's the guy's name? You know?
Really? John.
Yeah, John would be great.
Because we have two Johns in the afternoon, both in Cape Town and here.
Yes. I mean, there have been so many more Johns on this radio station than anyone else.
Fair. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah. I mean, always feel an outsider because I'm not John.
Yeah, and I'm Ant.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a weird feeling. The Blitzbox. They did all right over the weekend.
I think they definitely did more than all right, as the Blitzboks have claimed a 5th 7 Series league title. It went down to the very last match of the regular season as they outsped their title rivals Fiji 10-7 in that hotly contested New York final. That also seen them win the Big Apple gold medal. It had been a weekend where it didn't start very well in the pool stage as they lost to Australia, but they did pick up wins over New Zealand and France, seeing them finish second in that pool and into the Cup knockouts. Day 2, they bounced back with a 14-5 victory over last season's league winners Argentina in the semis, and then ultimately dispatched their nearest rivals in that final. The women's title was won by New Zealand as well. In football, Kaizer Chiefs ended a run of 3 successive Betway Premiership losses as they beat Durban City 1-0. Lilepo on hand to score a stunner from outside the box in the second half. Here's co-coach Cedric Kaze.
I'm very happy for the 3 points. They're going to give us a little bit of boost, a little bit of confidence for the players to go forward.
In the Premier League, Igor Tudor has a first point at Spurs, a vital one which sees the North Londoners move a point clear of the relegation zone. They went to Anfield and saw Richarlison score in the 90th minute to cancel out Szoboszlai's first half strike. Tudor says this could be the spark the side needs in their bid to survive.
Yes, some fresh air, some good things for the confidence of the player, everyone again around in the club and around, especially fans. Good team spirit, seeing the circumstances the team was today coming here at Anfield. So this is something big. We stay in the game, we believe. I feel that we could score the goal, the players also feel. So it's nice.
Man United beat Aston Villa 3-1, while it was goalless in the other 2 Sunday encounters between Crystal Palace Leeds and Nottingham Forest Fulham. In tennis, a first-time Indian Wells winners, Yannick Sinner won both tiebreaks to claim the men's title as he dispatched a fiery Daniil Medvedev 7-6, 7-6.
Feels amazing. Great achievement. It was a very tough match today, so I'm very happy how I handled the situation on the court. It's great to see Daniil back playing this level, and I'm very, very happy.
Meanwhile, Arina Sabalenka came from a set down to beat Elena Rybakina 3-6, 6-3, 7-6. And in case you missed it, France claimed the Six Nations title as they picked up a final day victory 48-46 over England. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
My name is Musa. I'm 12 years old. I go to Rand Park Primary. When I grow up, I'd like to be an architect, and I'm really excited to play the Whiz Quiz with Uncle Stephen.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Ford. Live your peak in the Ford Everest. I'm all surprised. Delays on the R21.
That's correct, Steve. In the Kempton Park area, that's due to that major accident scene reported right near Atlas Road. At this particular moment, delays are coming out of the Tambo interchange. There's also queuing traffic along the R21 South. This is just as we approach the scene near Atlas Road. Please be on the lookout there. If you're traveling in Midrand, we've got another accident scene reported on the N1 North. It happened near Oliphant Olifantsfontein Road delays out of New Road. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 South. This is just as you approach Olifantsfontein Road turn off due to peak time delays, as well as the accident on the opposite side of the road. If you want to avoid this backlog, please try to use the R21 South or even the R55 through Midrand, especially if you're heading towards Centurion. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Weekend away? In your Ford Everest, you're not traveling, you're exploring. That's peak living in the Ford Everest from only 9,999 per month with 10% deposit when financed through Ford Credit, a registered financial services and credit provider. And with our Ford Family Promise, you have access to 60-minute express service, 5.85% variable interest rate, 40% residual, 72 months to pay, risk profile dependent. Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply.
Think fast, fast downloads, fast streamings, fast wins. Because whether you're chasing high scores, deadlines, or just the next episode, buffering is not part of the plan. That's why your home needs the power of OpenServe Fiber, fast, reliable Wi-Fi that keeps up with your life. And when you sign up before the end of March, you'll score a free Netflix voucher. Level up your home connection with OpenServe Fiber and feel the difference speed makes. Visit openserve.co.za today. T's and C's apply.
When you train for results, you don't quit halfway. Earn up to 7.35% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account. Access your money within 24 hours. Keep your money agile. Get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
What's the question coming up in the next hour? What's the question? It's brought to you by OUTsurance. Up to 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. All you need to do is send us an answer based on anything that piqued your interest in the show, and you could win 1,000 Rand. Simply WhatsApp your name and that answer to 072 702 1702. And of course, a little later, someone else will ask the question to win 2,000 Rand. Remember, you stand a better chance of being selected to give us today's answer if you've SMS'd out to OUTsurance and got yourself a quote. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Morning, Steve. Uncle Steve Krotas, welcome back, even if it's for time being. It feels so good to hear your voice again in the morning. On the landmarks out Nkandla and Palapala.
Wow. Wow.
As a constant reminder of what we've been through. And then Mayor Morero, when he said they must hire foreign nationals as traffic officers to help understand the language of their country or from their country. Thank you so much. Nice show as always. Have a blessed day. Further.
Good morning, team. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Polile from Soweto here. On the banknotes, a place or a landmark that I would like to see. You see the Walter Sisulu Square of Dedication in Kliptown. That's where the South African Freedom Charter was adopted. I think that's definitely a place that has to be on banknotes. It's one of the most important places in South Africa and in the South African history. So yeah, I would like to have that.
No, guys. We are looking at this all wrong. What we need on the banknotes is some nice traditional food. I'm thinking some boerewors, some biltong, some potjiekos. How about some magudu, some runaways there, some trotters maybe, some pap, millies. No. We got to go this way. And you know what? You see that on the banknotes, you're going to spend it much more. All right, from Rustenburg.
Yeah, you got to have a walkie-talkie there too. Well, I think that's a nice idea. I haven't thought of that. Food, South Africa makes us South African, makes you feel South African, certainly.
Certainly, it'll make you spend a lot of money on the actual food and not on some of the things that you're supposed to do. But I think the Soweto Towers is one that can, be nice on the banknotes as well as the 3 rondavolts from Mpumalanga.
Yeah, Pala and Nkandla. Wow, shots fired. 11 minutes now to 7.
Who is the whizziest of them all.
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Well, our contestant this morning is Morsa. Morsa is 12 and at Rand Park Primary. Morsa, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, all right, thanks. You go to Rand Park Primary. Do you enjoy school?
Yes, I do.
You
I
do?
really do.
And you want to be an architect. Do you like drawing with rulers and things like that?
Yes, I do. And
Okay.
technology.
And technology. How interesting, hey? Sure. How are you feeling this morning? Are you feeling confident, Morsa? You sound very confident. You sound very good.
Yes, I'm confident and nervous.
Okay, cool. You know how it works. We've got 10 questions. You have to be between 10 and 13 years to play. Each correct answer gets you 100 Rand, and you get 10,000 Rand if you get them all right, and you've got a minute to do it all. Morsa, are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Morsa, spell the word receive.
RECIVE.
I'm not sure if that's correct or not. In maths, what is 15 plus 40?
56.
Okay, it's 55. True or false in geography, the opposite of east is west?
True.
Correct. Complete the saying, beggars can't be what?
Pass.
That's true. Chooses which province is landlocked, Northwest or the Northern Cape?
Northern Cape.
No, it's Northwest. Which sport uses a video assistant referee or VAR?
VAR.
Yeah, which sport uses that?
Oh, pass.
It's soccer. True or false? Orcas belong to the dolphin family.
True.
Correct. Give the comparative form of bad. In other words, from bad, where do you go? And the answer is worse. I'm looking at the judges, and you got 2 correct, Morsa. Well done. You get 200 Rand.
Okay, thank you.
It's tough, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. Morsa, well done. Your parents must be very proud of you. Just to come on the radio requires real bravery. So, Morsa, congratulations to you. 200 Rand going her way, and we'll play again on the Whiz Quiz tomorrow.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
On 702.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, I don't know if you've seen this viral video. It was taken by a teacher who's managing young children. They're all at school. They must be grade 1, grade 2, maybe. In the video, the kids have each got a pie and a bottle of juice, and it's for a fundraiser, and they're all eating it. But there's one poor kid. I mean, he must be 6 or 7, maybe 8. He's the only one who doesn't have anything. The others are sitting there. There's this poor child sitting there, hiding his face, actually. And the teacher doesn't do anything to help him. What she does is she takes a video, and then she uses the video, and in the video, she's berating this poor kid's parents or guardians for not giving them money. I mean, it's astonishing. Money for the pie. It happened at a primary school in the Western Cape. And what she said in the video really was, basically shouting at the parents. And you've got this poor child sitting there, covering his face, the embarrassment. All the others are sitting there eating a pie and drinking their juice. And there's this poor kid. Dr. Ken Resnick is an educational psychologist and parenting expert. Dr. Resnick, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen.
I think we probably all remember as a kid. I mean, I remember as a kid being singled out sometimes in front of the class in those days. But in this case, everyone's eating, you're sitting there, the teacher's shouting at you. I mean, this is going to sit with this poor child for a long time.
No, definitely. Again, it depends how well socialized the child is. But I think the problem is, Stephen, how did this teacher take upon herself to do that without discussing with the principal? A lot of people have to take a bit of responsibility for that because you don't want to humiliate children, and especially in a role as an educator, which is the teacher, and who has a lot of power. So I think one needs to try and look at how did they handle that whole thing, that she could just on her own go and video a classroom, focus on this little guy for a few seconds, and then still be berating them without discussing it with the principal. So I think something is wrong there. I think the situation where you do have kids that are, not maybe as affluent as the rest, etc., need to be handled with care, be very careful, contacting parents, letting them understand what the day is about, etc. But you don't go out humiliating a child. I mean,
yeah.
it definitely will have some type of impact. Doesn't necessarily be scarred for life, because the child might be well socialized. You know, he might actually be quite a happy kid. We don't know too much about that. But the teacher's behavior was a bit bizarre when you think that she is the authority figure in that classroom, where the children have to respect and feel safe. They need to feel safe. And I don't think that kid felt safe.
The thing that really struck me is I have kids, right? They're teenagers now. But when they were younger and there was a sort of pie, I mean, I don't know if they did pie and juice, but if there was a cake, if there was the prospect of eating something they don't normally eat, right? It was quite exciting. They would kind of bounce out of the car, right? Now, when I look at all of these kids, they're all sitting there and they actually look scared. They look like they're eating because they've been told to, not because they want to. And I was quite surprised considering that it's probably a bit of a treat to have juice and a pie in a classroom setting like that. And it just made me wonder if that was the atmosphere for their whole day.
But you see, that's right. Don't have enough information. But one thing is for sure. They should have been, if that child was well socialized and that child was fine, sharing is so important. And I think that if they just said to the guys, you know, they could even mention that he didn't have enough money to come. You guys, who's prepared to share? A lot of those kids would have shared their pies. I don't have any doubt. But the fact that they all tucked away with their pies, it didn't seem to have been mentioned. Instead, that little kid was obviously very uncomfortable being filmed. And it stood out quite a lot. Like, you seem to be the only child there. And it seemed to be quite a well-equipped school as well. So, to me, they have quite a lot to answer for. One
of the things you know as a parent is when you fetch your child or you see them later in the day and you say, how was school? And the answer they give you is fine, right? How do you know, how can you find out from your child if something happened? And I think of various things. I mean, sometimes parents, and I've done this, you know, when they're going to bed, what was the worst part of your day? What was the best part of your day? Maybe it'll come out there. But how can you get your child to tell you that something like this happened to them? Because they often don't want to talk about it.
That's true, but I think a lot depends on their relationship with their parents. You know, they might just mention it and so on. They might say, please, Mommy, don't say anything. Then parents maybe have to respect that. But at the end of the day, kids will normally talk. You know, they live in a little world and they do get over things pretty quickly. It's just abuse that really does affect them. So we don't know too much about that child, but it did seem to be a well-equipped school. So one needs more information. But whatever it was inappropriate, unfair, and, you know, if the child was socially well-equipped, he would have dealt with it. If he was a kid that often gets picked on or teased by the other kids, of course it would have just exacerbated the problem. And why did the teacher make such a fuss of it? You know, I mean, that also seems a bit strange.
I mean, it just seemed to me that the kid was being picked on for the sins of the parents or the guardian or just their situation. Dr. Ken Resnick, thanks very much indeed, an educational psychologist and parenting expert. 2 minutes to 7.
EWN Traffic.
The EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand.
Well, Steve, we still have got delays on the R21 North. In fact, both sides of the road are heavily backed up as a result of that accident near Atlas Road. If you're heading towards the OR Tambo Airport, please try to use alternative routes like the R23 South all the way towards the N12 exit. We also have got delays on the N1 North in Midrand due to another accident, delays towards Olifantsfontein Road. And then while you're traveling on the N1 North, we do have peak time delays. This is between the Soweto Highway all the way towards Albertina Sisulu Road, so please be on the lookout there and keep it safe on the roads. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You know that feeling when you find a parking spot right by the entrance? That's how good it feels to see the Outsurance pointsmen on your route. Everyone breathes a little easier knowing the Outsurance pointsmen are on the roads. They've been easing the traffic congestion so everyone gets where they need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using hashtag pointsmanlove, license insurer and FSP.
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
Well, in the big interview in a few moments, we'll be talking about what happens in education. Continue that conversation with more corruption, it seems, in the SETAs. I mean, how is it that the education SETA spend 600,000 Rand a month on offices in Marshalltown and the money just goes down the drain? They're not using them. And the investigator who says, I think there was a problem with the tender, after investigating, gets fired by the CEO. Fascinating. Nokokanya Machachla. I mean, I'm very interested to see that story. We'll speak to Basil Manuel from, you know him, he's at Naptosa. And then also we will update you too on the situation around gambling and so much online gambling at the moment. That's all coming up. You're at 7:02 Breakfast. Good morning. I'm Stephen Grootes. It's 7 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Police are looking for another person who could be involved in the murder of witness D, and the court will hear why Sisi Khampepe should recuse herself in the TRC inquiry. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Police are searching for one more suspect in connection with the murder of Marius van der Merwe, who was a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. National Police Commissioner Fanny Masimula confirmed this over the weekend after officers arrested one person believed to have pulled the trigger in van der Merwe's murder. Van der Merwe was shot and killed shortly after his testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where he implicated suspended Ekurhuleni senior Metro cop Julius Mkwanazi in criminal activities. Masimula, however, says it's too early to say whether the murder was directly linked to his testimony.
All we know is that they were both involved in other commission of other crimes, and for now, the investigation, the person we've arrested is the person we arrested for the killing of witness D, and I think more will come out as time goes.
Meanwhile, Masimula has dismissed suggestions that police officers are afraid of criminals. Last week, suspended head of organized crime at SAPS Richard Shibiri told the Madlanga Commission that he could not publicly reveal the names of a suspected or the name of a suspected criminal kingpin due to safety concerns for himself and his family. Masimula says officers are employed to confront and arrest criminal elements.
I mean, police officers are there employed to arrest criminals. I haven't seen a police officer that will fear criminals. A police officer must face criminals. If it means it's a fight, let it be a fight, and we expect the police to win.
The High Court in Johannesburg will today hear an application seeking the recusal of Justice Sisi Khampepe as chair of the TRC cases inquiry. The application is brought by former Presidents Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki, who've accused Khampepe of bias due to her roles in the original TRC commission and as Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions between 1988 and 1999. President Cyril Ramaphosa in court papers said he is not opposed to Khampepe's removal, saying he instructed Justice Minister Mamluku Kubai to ask her to step down, but Khampepe has declined. Dimakaso Leshoro has more.
The Commission has described the court challenge as a delaying tactic by the two former presidents aimed at avoiding appearing before the TRC Cases Commission. It says the application is meritless and against public interest as it seeks to obstruct the work of the Commission. It argues that as former heads of state, Zuma and Mbeki should know better. In addition to the allegation of bias, former Presidents Zuma and Mbeki have also raised concerns about the conduct of the Commission's chief evidence leader, Advocate Ishmael Semenya, SC, alleging undisclosed improper collusion between Semenya and the Commission and failure to properly address alleged procedural irregularities. Both are asking the court to review and set aside Khampepe's refusal to recuse herself. Dimakato Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And political analyst Kutsa says the removal of Joburg Mayor Dada Morero has come too late to positively influence the ANC's expected performance in the upcoming local government elections. The party's regional executive committee resolved to relieve Morero of his duties, citing his losing faction's decision to challenge in court the outcome of last year's regional elective conference. Kutsa says the ANC has not been able to sufficiently respond to parties like the DA, which have capitalized on protests and poor service delivery.
They don't have much time until the election because it will most possibly be early in November. So therefore they will have to develop a strategy which is very different from what they have up to now. The DA and Action SA now sort of did is that they lay down to a large extent the rules of the game.
And President Donald Trump says the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, faces, quote, very bad future if U.S. allies fail to help open the critical oil transport Strait of Hormuz. Trump says the U.S. has aided Ukraine in the war with Russia, and he expects Europe to help on the Strait of Hormuz, whose closure has sent energy prices soaring around the world. Uncertainty about how long the war against Iran might last has rattled oil markets, where crude prices have surged over the past 2 weeks due to the supply risk. Trump told reporters traveling with him on Air Force One that the U.S. is in discussions with about 7 countries on getting help to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has told CBS News that Iran is ready to speak to countries about the safe passage of their vessels.
I cannot mention any country in particular, but we have been approached by a number of countries who wants to have a safe passage for their vessels, and this is up to our military to decide. And they have already decided to let a group of vessels belongs to different countries to pass in a safe and secure.
Gold is trading at $5,018.70 an ounce. The rand is at 16.83 to the dollar, 22.32 to the pound, 19.27 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $104.27 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays along the M1 North between the Xavier off-ramp and the double-decker section. An accident has been reported right near Boyson's off-ramp. And if you are traveling within this area, Boyson's as well as Crownwood Road, we've got delays on the Soweto Highway between Crownwood Road and the M1 bridge, along with Crownwood Road approaching the Soweto Highway.
And in your sport, Blitzboks won a 4th tournament of the season to be crowned the 2026 7 Series champions. Kaizer Chiefs stopped the rot with the first Prem win since Jan. And Bruno Fernandes assist King as he helps United to win over their top 4 rivals Villa.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. Johannesburg and Vereeniging both are at lows of 14 degrees, peaking at 22. Pretoria 16 and 23. The top story in EWN this hour. Police are searching for one more suspect in connection with the murder of Marius van der Merwe, who was a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702 on 92.7 and 106 FM.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And on DSTV channel 856.
Good morning, 7 minutes after 7. I realize I don't sound really at all like Bongani Bingwa. I'm Stephen Krutis, in for Bongani with you this Monday morning. You're with 702. Walk the talk with us, with you until 9 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. You can also, of course, help set the agenda. You can give us a call, 011 883 0702. You can reach us via SMS on 31702 or on WhatsApp on 072 702 1702. Tweet us at Radio 702 and use the hashtag 702breakfast. My great privilege to be with you this morning. A lot coming up in the next little while. One of the big stories, of course, Afizel's been talking about it this morning. What's going on in the ANC around the Joburg mayor, Dada Morero? And we still don't really understand exactly. I mean, I was looking at the ANC statement yesterday from the Joburg region. They decry the leaking. Oh, just tell us what you're doing. Don't sort of mess around and blame the leaking. For goodness sake, get on with it. Improve things, I think, is what people would really want to see happening. Lots of talk this morning about the SANDF deployment. I don't know how you feel about that. I worry a little bit about all of the war talk and the violence and having more people with weapons and guns on the streets. I don't know if that really helps anything. I mean, maybe it does. But also, I imagine if you live in one of those areas, you're desperate for some kind of intervention. You want to see that order. You want to feel safe. Not everyone's going to feel safe with soldiers on the streets, though, and I don't know if you've seen them where you are at the moment. We'll talk about that a little later. I know that Rudzani Mapwania, the head of the SANDF, he's been talking about it, but good to hear from you this morning. So much going on, as always, on a Monday, and please, take it easy in the traffic if you can. I know what it's like. I've been doing it a lot recently at this time, and it really is that sort of fight. When you get home, you're like, when you get to work, you're like, whoa. You need to recover. Probably not a bad idea to have some kind of ritual You know, something that you do, whether it's just, you know, swearing at the coffee machine or something to get over the traffic, because I know it's just insane. Please take it easy. Get to work, get home, get wherever you're going. Do it safely, and let's join each other and let's stay together as we go through the day. Good morning. It's 10 minutes after 7.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Morning, 702. Yeah, the teacher, what she did, it was completely wrong, out of line. She missed the very important opportunity to teach our kids that sharing is caring. That's what my son always says. Dad, sharing is caring. I even asked him, who taught you that? My class teacher. I just want to say shout out to Charisma School of Excellence. Thank you for teaching our kids that sharing is caring.
Stephen, we're missing a fundamental point. It's illegal to film any child in South Africa without the parents' consent. So the teacher should be summarily dismissed, and all school teachers should be made aware that you cannot film or photograph a child under any circumstances. It's illegal.
That's so true. I hadn't thought of that, but yes, of course, correct. And you'll see it in TV. You'll see it in EWN videos. You know, you blur out the face of the child if there are children. You'll often see people reporting on schools, and you'll just see the sort of school shoes more than the faces, simply because of that. But I think that's right. I do wonder. I mean, I'm always interested in what created a situation. So you've got the human, and we all look at the human and we shout and scream at them, whether it's Dada Morero or this teacher. But what led to this happening? What was the backstory? I mean, what was going on in the background that led to this? There was, and I'm not excusing Dada Morero or the teacher. I'm just saying, because they had agency, right? But how did we get here? And when you look at what happens in schools, so often I just think to myself, how did we get here? And look, we must just say that what happens in schools is also a reflection of where we are as a society. I was talking about war talk earlier and the sort of example that we set. So when we see a school fight among kids, we mustn't be surprised that we see this. Look at what they're hearing from their parents, from the leaders of society. I do think, though, we're absolutely allowed to be angry at the teacher to say that we should not have done that, you should not have done this, and there can be no explanation for it. There can be no excuse for it, rather, that led to us here. Your thoughts on that? Great to hear from you this morning on 072 702 1702. We'll talk a little bit more about education in a couple of moments in the seater there. 12 minutes after 7.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, 5 things you need to know about the US-Israeli war with Iran entering its 3rd week. So still everyone watching oil prices, absolutely going to have an impact on you, I know. Lots of war talk on sort of both sides. And I suppose if you've been attacked, that's kind of acceptable. But if you've been calling someone the Great Satan for 30 years, you mustn't think they're not going to come for you eventually. But we do see some leaders asking for peace. Pope Leo XIV is one of them. He was calling for an immediate ceasefire over the weekend, called the violence in the Middle East atrocious. And then he made what I think is such an important point, and something South Africa has taught the world. War cannot bring justice or lasting peace. In the end, you have to talk. And the Iranians say we won't talk. Trump says he won't talk. The Pope also raising concerns about Lebanon. There are tensions there involving Hezbollah and Israel. Using violence and using gods to justify killing, he says, can never be accepted. He's obviously right there. The South Africa's film and television industry, they gathered on Saturday night, was the big SAFTAs, the 19th South African Film and Television Awards at Gallagher Convention Centre. They honoured actors, filmmakers, productions shaping our screen culture. 2 top of the winners. Well, there were rather quite a few top winners, but one was Zenanda Mfanyana for Best Supporting Actress in Inimba, Bonko Khoza for Best Actor in Itonga, and Nelisiwe Sibiya for Best Actress also in Itonga for the same show. So that was clearly one of the big winners. On the global stage, anyone still stay up for the Oscars? There was a time, the only Oscars I've stayed up for or woke up early for was when Charlize won. Okay, let me just be clear. It was the only time that I stayed up. I actually went to a venue and sort of reported on it for EWN, and I often think about it because it was such a fun thing to do, such a good story. But at the Oscars this time on the global stage, Sean Penn, and when he was young, he was aggressive, he was rough. There were claims about how he treated his wife at the time, Madonna. You say to younger people, you know, Sean Penn was married to Madonna. They won't believe you. But yeah, but hasn't he matured? Doesn't he give you hope that actually we can get better as we get older? Because he really has. He won Best Supporting Actor at the 98th Academy Awards for one battle after another. He wasn't in Los Angeles. Instead, he was in Ukraine. He's been supporting the war effort there. And last year's winner, Kieran Culkin, also an amazing actor, accepted the award for him. It's Penn's third Oscar after Mystic River and Milk. And I remember watching Milk at the time, years ago, thinking, yeah, this guy's going to win something for this. And he did. Sean Penn, as we mature, hopefully we get better. This day, 1751. If I was talking to my children right now, they'd say, where were you in 1751, Dad? Thanks. James Madison, born in Virginia. He would grow up to help draft the U.S. Constitution, record key debates at the Constitutional Development Convention, and he wrote, it became very famous, the Federalist Papers, and he became the fourth president of the U.S. I think what's so important about James Madison, when we look at our system of checks and balances in the Constitution, which we have, that the courts are above government, that's partly because of what he did. He was very involved in that. So you think, does James Madison matter to me? Absolutely he does. He helped to give us our current system of government. If you were writing the rules for a new country now, which is what he was doing, where would you start? I mean, what would be the first rule you'd add or the first rule you'd take away? I think that's a fascinating question. I think so many people are, there's a rude word I'm not allowed to use, but it ends with the phrase full. With the criminal justice system, I think people would change that. I don't know, for good or ill, but the first rule you'll change. And then a happy birthday today to Janae Aiko, born on this day, 1988 in Los Angeles, entering the music scene in the early 2000s, a backing vocalist and video performer for the R&B group B2K, several nominations at the Grammy Awards, the BET Awards, the NAACP Image Awards. One of the most distinctive voices in R&B at this phase of it. 16 minutes after 7, 5 things you need to know.
702. Up next.
The big interview.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com now. Amor, good evening. Peak time delays already.
Yes, good morning, Steve. Peak time delays indeed along several roads. In fact, most roads. The M1 North between Xavier Street and Carr Street, bumper to bumper traffic there, as well as on the N3 North. This is between the Elands interchange and the Geldenhuys exit. If you are traveling towards the city of Tshwane, do expect heavy traffic volumes on the N14 North. This is between the Brockfontein interchange and the R55. I'll keep you more or rather updated with more traffic updates. Do stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
702.
The big interview.
By the way, I know it's 18 minutes after 7. I know I need to get to the big interview, but my count of good evening instead of good morning is currently at 2. KG, we're agreed. We're on 2. I'm keeping track. How many more do you think I'll do before the end of the show? Well, it's turned out that the Education, Training and Development Practices Sector Education and Training Authority, man, that's a long name, the Education SETA, has been spending 15 million rand on a property it can't use. The investigator who found that it looked like there was an inside job on the tender was then fired by the acting CEO at the SETA, Nokukanya Mafahla. Basil Manuel is the executive director of the teachers' organization, NAPTOSA. He's an expert. I'll call you an expert on education, Basil, because I've been talking to you for so long. Good morning. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Stephen. Pleasure to be with you again.
So they spent 15 million rand on a building. It's empty. It's not safe to use. They're spending money on a property they're not using. I mean, what does this tell us about this education SETA?
Well, it gives us a clear indication that there is some rot that needs to be cleared up, and hence SATU and ourselves, we've been sitting on the sidelines watching this. Remember, we are constituent members of the broader CETA authority, because our people serve there, our people are beneficiaries. We have the responsibility of oversight to see that the money of the CETA is spent correctly and that skills are being developed, because that is what the CETAs do. But a new board is appointed, and the board seems to be doing all the right things, but there seem to be many, many obstacles in the way to ensure that what they lawfully are instructing is not happening. Hence, our decision to step in.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the question is, what do you do? I mean, how do you... What are you able to do? And we have this problem with so many seaters, and education is really important.
Stephen, our first port of call is to call on the minister. The minister appointed this acting CEO, and we believe the acting CEO must be suspended. But let me also add that her period of acting ends now at the end of the month, so that may be quite moot. However, we do want to see that the EXCO get appointed. The EXCO has to be approved by the minister. And the EXCO is that group of people between the board and the CEO that will oversee the daily running of the CETA. And without them, the CEO has carte blanche. And this is one of the weaknesses of the current situation. Hence, we are saying we want that done, and then also we want a proper investigation done. Now, there was an audit, a forensic audit being done, and of course, the money set aside was insufficient. Now we know that there is a process where you apply to get more money, etc., and then if it's approved, and then you continue. But the acting CEO stopped this. Now, surely there's far more reason to have this forensic audit finished than not, so that people's names are cleared. I want to say, surely she needs this to happen so that her name be cleared too, because she sat as chair of the procurement committee that made the decision on this very building, and we need to see that there was nothing untoward that happened.
Sure. Has the CETA, the education CETA, been playing the role it's supposed to play over the years? I mean, is this an aberration? Is this something that's never happened before in the CETA, or is this kind of how it's been?
The CETA has had clean audits, if that's an indication, until the very last one, with the present CEO, acting CEO, who was then the CFO. However, I don't believe that a clean audit is the only indicator. When you look at the CETA framework as a complete entity, how many people are being skilled? How many people are being given an opportunity to step up and so that they can become more employable? And in fact, at the moment, all the CETAs put together are skilling fewer people than all the people that are in training and in universities and TVET colleges already. That means that they are not even touching our skills deficit in any meaningful way. And that is why the entire CETA landscape needs to be re-looked at again.
I mean, I don't know if we can really reform the system. Sometimes I think the whole idea, we need to remove the structures. They just seem to attract scandal. We need to do something else. I don't know what. It should be replaced with something, but not this system.
It's become a cash cow for certain groups of people, and we've created wonderful jobs where people are being paid fantastic salaries that make your eyes water. But delivery is what we don't necessarily see, and that is why we've stepped in to say we will hold you to account, because we want to see delivery in this sector, and we will not agree to corruption in our name. Because our members, we've got members on the board, the federations have members on the board, and these people are crying, saying every decision is overturned. Even the decision, Stephen, to advertise for the full-time CEO has been watered down by the incumbent so that she qualifies. Now, that doesn't make sense.
No, you can't give someone like that. You can't give someone that sort of power in a case like this. Basil Manuel, good to hear from you. Such an indictment on the CETA system. Basil is the Executive Director at NAPTOSA, 24 after 7.
702.
The big interview.
I don't know how much time you sit on your phone and spend the time gambling. You might know people around you who do that, and you see them and you just there's a sort of ching, ching, ching that their phone makes, and you know that's what they're doing. And it's becoming so big. So many of us talk about it. We almost wring our hands about it. And I don't really know if we can do much to stop it. Sibongile Simalani-Kontana is the Executive Director at the South Africa Responsible Gambling Foundation. Sibongile, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Stephen, and good morning to your listeners.
The numbers seem so scary. Are we right to be incredibly worried as a society about this?
We should be worried, Stephen, and I assume that you are referring to the numbers in terms of the turnover that the industry reached in the previous financial year, which is the 1.5 trillion, and then we turn that into the gross gambling revenue of 75 billion. We should be worried because also as a South African Responsible Gambling Foundation, we've seen a 60% increase in the number of people that are seeking help.
Sure. A lot of people are doing this because they're in debt and they hope to gamble their way out of their debt. Now, you don't have to be an expert on money to know that's a terrible situation to be in. I mean, that just really, the chances are that you're going to end up in a worse position.
It is, Stephen. I mean, we are all under pressure. We are compounded by a contracting economy environment, but also the availability, of gambling. It's everywhere. It's in our banking apps. I mean, you've got these over the top that the vouchers where you can easily use it, and they've got 200,000, all of these retail stores across the country. Your retail, your banks, and these are actually acceptable by the gambling operators, and making it easy as a digital currency for people to simply gamble. But then, what on the other side we're witnessing that the more there is accessibility, especially accessibility of gambling, the likelihood that people are going to gamble irresponsibly and out of desperation.
No, sure. If there's a young person or a person who you think is gambling, how do you help them? What do you do? Because you've got to, I mean, people won't be able to stop something like this unless they decide. But how do you help them decide?
Stephen, I think here's the difficulty because we are dealing with choices. A person, when they are finding it that they are finding it difficult, they then need to come out and say that I've got a problem. Because with any gambling addiction, any addiction, in fact, if you push somebody towards, getting help, they don't see that they've got help. And unfortunately, in this situation and in any other situation, it's when the people have actually literally lost everything and they are down. I mean, when you look at our statistics, 88% of people were actually in debt. And they are coming forward because they can't pay the rent. They don't know what to put the food on the table. They are running away from mashonisa. So they come in when they are desperate. But you can, as a person, if you want to help, sit down with them and point them towards the right direction and assure them that help is available. But again, for somebody to realize that there is help, there must be something that is giving. And currently, you've got advertising that is all over the place. We don't have sufficient, legal instrument that protect the people from exposure of unwanted gambling.
Sibongile, thank you. Sibongile Simalani-Kontana is Executive Director at the South African Responsible Gambling Foundation.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand.
Well, we still have delays on the R21 North. This is as you approach Atlas Road. A major accident scene reported there. The delays at this moment are coming out of the OR Tambo turnoff. Please be on the lookout there. If you're traveling on the R21 South, this very scene will also affect your trip. If you're traveling on the N3 North, queuing traffic between the Glulis Interchange and Mudderfontein Road, that's due to peak time delays. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You won't believe how much money Outsurance saves 40-year-old Rafiq on his car insurance.
I saved so much money. 899. That's not small change. It's more than 50% that I saved from my previous insurer.
That's an impressive saving on Rafiq's 2017 Nissan Navara 4x4. And after 3 claim-free years, he gets an out bonus. How much money could Outsurance save you? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
EWN Business.
Mateo, good morning. Oil. Where on earth is it?
And more oil. Asia Pacific markets fell this morning as investors assess the high oil prices and the latest developments in the escalating US-Iran conflict. US crude prices are topped $100 per barrel as the Trump administration weighs military strikes on Tehran's Kak Island, a strategically vital hub often referred to as Iran's oil lifeline. Now, Brent prices, the international benchmark, up 0.5% at $104 a barrel now, while the U.S. crude oil was trading at around $98 per barrel. On Friday, U.S. President Donald Trump ordering strikes against Iranian military assets in Kak Island and warning of further attacks on crude facilities located there. What does that mean for you and me? Well, the Central Energy Fund is pricing in almost 4 rand per litre for the hike in April. Yeah, we're all crying, aren't we? 93 octane could see an increase of 3 rand 62 cents per litre. 95 unleaded at 3 rand 98 cents per litre, while diesel is at 6 rand 63 cents per litre. The wholesale price of diesel at 6 rand 75 cents per litre, while illuminating paraffin could go up by as much as 8 rand 53 cents per litre. So that particular ongoing dispute over that Strait of Hormuz and the fight between the US and Iran definitely going to trickle down to emerging economies like South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to basically make everything more expensive. And Remgro, they're lifting earnings.
Yeah, Remgro, as per usual, announcing profits. Investment holding company Remgro saw a share up of 2% on the JSE. The company expects a strong jump in interim earnings as most of the businesses it's invested in are performing well. Remgro, of course, holds a lot of interest in different businesses, including Total Energies, eMedia, Mediclinic, Heineken, RCL Foods. Take your pick. The group expects headline earnings per share could rise by between 36 and 41%.
And what's happening on the markets? Let me make a prediction. They're not great.
Not too great. The All Share down 2,000 points on Friday, which saw mining shares down more than 5%. The likes of Implats down 11%, Northam down 9.5%, with Sibanye down 8% on Friday. Rand at this hour, 16 Rand 85 against the US dollar, 19.29 against the euro, and you'll need 22 Rand 34 cents to get a British pound. Price of gold flat at $5,014 an ounce, while platinum is at $2,058. Brent crude now at $104 a barrel. More business after 8.
Mateo, thanks very much indeed. Just after 7:30. Sofiso, good evening. That's 3. Good morning. The latest on that situation in Eldorado Park.
Yeah, Stephen, good morning. Still remains the same, with the manhunt being launched for at least 8 gunmen linked to a shooting in Eldorado Park that left 2 people dead and 6 others injured. Authorities say the attackers stormed a social gathering on Saturday night and randomly opened fire. The motive for the shooting is unknown, and police spokesperson Brenda Moridili says the suspects fled on foot.
The police are searching for suspects after a shooting in Eldorado Park that left 2 people dead and 6 injured on 14 March 2026. No arrests have been made yet. If anyone has information, they can contact the SAPS Crime Stop number.
Ward Councillor Dwayne Ponsonby has called for stronger law enforcement.
It's really time that law enforcement start doing what they have to do. The gunslingers are living as if there is no enforcement or law, or is that there is no consequences within our areas. And it seems like a thing that we are all okay with. We can never be okay with this.
Emergency services are on high alert in Limpopo, monitoring flooded areas. Heavy rainfall over the past 2 days has left roads damaged and some low low-lying bridges submerged in Vembe, Waterberg and Mopani. The flooding has also forced the temporary closure of 2 border posts between South Africa and Mozambique. Mongezi Koko takes a look.
Premier Poppy Ramathuba says disaster management teams are responding to distress calls from communities after some areas received more than 100 millilitres of rain. Mudslides have been reported along the R523 between Kalaba and Sibasa, while some parts of the R33 in Waterberg have also been affected. Meanwhile, the Border Management Authority has suspended operations at Pafuri and Giriondo ports of entry due to rising water levels in nearby rivers. BMA spokesperson Meme Mokhotsi.
There have been no injuries or damages to the infrastructure reported.
The South African Weather Service has also warned that Limpopo could continue to experience heavy rainfall until the end of March. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
Agricultural economist Wandile Slobo has warned about the effects of rising prices of fertilizer and fuel on local farmers due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. About 30% of global fertilizer supplies are transported through the Strait of Hormuz, which has been blocked, prompting increasing in shipping costs. Sihlobo has warned that if the war, now in its 3rd week, is prolonged, it could push up fertilizer prices even higher and trickle down to food prices.
Fuel accounts for about 13% of the grain farmers' input costs, so that's quite substantive. And fertilizer is a significant cost part of the production in the grain farmers or any other value chain really in the South African side. Then these are some of the risks that we have to be thinking about in the South African agricultural sector.
And the South African government is reviewing its Israel's submission to the International Court of Justice for its genocide case before deciding its next step. South Africa's case against Israel was filed in 2024, accusing Israel of breaching international law and committing acts amounting to genocide against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Israel has submitted its formal response to the ICJ. After being granted 2 extensions, it has always claimed its actions in Gaza were a justified response to the Hamas attacks on Israelis in 2023. Presidency spokesperson Vincent Makwenya says the government is considering whether to file additional written arguments or proceed to the oral hearing stage.
South Africa remains committed to playing its part, along with others, to fulfill the promises of the Genocide Convention and the UN Charter to liberate humanity from the odious scourge of genocide, as described by the 1948 UN Genocide Convention, and save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, as universally pledged in the UN Charter preamble.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 14 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs between 22 and 23.
And in the traffic, we still have got queuing traffic on the Mark 1 North. This is between the Killarney Bends and Greyston Drive. An accident right after Harton Drive. Please be on the lookout there and expect about a 20-minute hold-up. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North. Peak time delays there. A stop and go, in fact, between the Yelands Interchange and Waterfontein Road.
The top story this hour, police are searching for at least 8 gunmen linked to a mass shooting in Eldorado Park.
Smart Steve from Momentum, hello.
Smart Steve, my daughter just turned 18, right? And now she's got a license and a boyfriend.
You're worried about her safety. With Momentum Safety Alert, she can access help 24/7.
Is that the emergency response version of Curry in a Hurry?
For sure. She can get help at the touch of a button for free.
Free? For all that and all?
Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Well, for March only, We Buy Cars is turning up the heat with their Midnight March promotion. They're giving you the chance to save big after hours. Here's how it works. Every single day in March, on the 16th, so you better get going, every single day in March, selected vehicles are marked down, here's the catch, between 6 p.m. and midnight. That's your window to score some serious savings. If you see something you love, something you and your family need to have, reserve it on webuycars.co.za using the official online reservation process to lock in the discounted price. With over 15,000 vehicles available across the country, there's something for every budget. Keep an eye on the Midnight March deals and the special offers tab for thousands of marked down vehicles. Looking to sell a vehicle? Get an offer online at webuycars.co.za or visit a branch or buying pod nationwide. Whether you're chasing a next level bargain or the best price for your current ride, it all starts at webuycars.co.za. It's the Midnight March.
Every hour in South Africa, someone hears the words, "You have blood cancer." For many patients, a stem cell transplant is their only chance at survival. Yet their match could come from a stranger, someone like you. It takes just 3 minutes to register as a stem cell donor. So visit dkmsafrica.org today and give someone the best kind of hope.
Transport doesn't just move people, it moves the economy. This week, the future of SA's transport system takes centre stage at the National Transport Conference hosted by the Department of Transport. The 16th to 18th of March at the Gallagher Convention Centre. Catch the Clement Manyatela Show live from the conference today for insights and more from the leaders and decision makers driving the sector forward. Find out how stakeholders are tackling critical issues from rail reform, port congestion to road safety and sustainability. Brought to you by the Department of Transport on 702.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Stephen, hi. This whole gambling landscape, I think, has been designed never to actually appease or please the gambler. It's there to actually maximize money for the operators and government at large. A case in point is you would find that, I'm not too sure if it's the situation currently, in the US, when gambling was legalized, gambling venues, I'm talking the physical sites, were made to actually establish themselves far away from urban centers. In South African context, it was a direct opposite on the basis of what? Yes, you guessed it right, job creation, etc., etc. At what expense? Here we have families that are devastated. So the chickens have come home to roost, as I would say. I believe that the solution to our gambling addiction, etc., is to relook at the legislation that governs this framework.
Yeah, I mean, there's that old phrase about gambling, the house always wins, the casino always wins, and it must be the same about this. By the way, while I've got you, we'll be with Anthony in just a moment, but I had a little bit of feedback from Emma Sadler. You know her, the media lawyer, the social media lawyer, and she just got in touch to say, look, it's not true that you can never film children. There's a thing called an expectation of privacy. So if you take your kids to a public event, you take them to the Wanderers, you take them at Walk the Talk or something, there's an expectation they could be filmed there. But, you know, someone who is in a classroom, I don't think would have an expectation of being filmed. And that's where it becomes a major issue. I mean, one of the things I've learned over the years is that if you put your children on social media, if you put them on Instagram, anyone can take a picture of them virtually anywhere because you've lost that. If you don't do that, and you'll never, and I don't, then anyone who publishes a picture of my children without permission, I can make them take it down. That's the difference. So an expectation of privacy is the phrase. And just please be careful with what you display, what you publish about your kids. 19 minutes to 8.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. It's your chance to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later, 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance if you don't. Ask for Outsurance for 500 Rand. Today's answer comes from Monde in Kagiso. Monde, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks. Thanks for the call. Okay, please give us today's answer.
All right. The answer, Stephen, is 1988.
All right, Kagiso, thank you. And have you recently requested a quote from Outsurance?
I definitely did.
Monday. Thank you very much indeed. Congratulations. You've won yourself 1,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance and 702. If you know what's the question, be the seventh caller now. 011 883 0702. T's and C's on primemediaplus.com.
EWN Sport.
Anthony Teixeira, good morning. No T's and C's here. The Blitzboks are the champions.
Yeah, good morning, Stephen. It was spectacular out in New York as the Blitzboks were crowned the 2026 World 7 Series champions. South Africans added the inaugural New York Sevens title to the Cape Town, Perth and Vancouver titles they had already claimed earlier this term. It was a close final, but they managed to get the best of their rivals Fiji, which saw them win a third successive tournament this season. In football, Kaizer Chiefs co-coach Cedric Kaze was pleased to claim a 1-0 win in the Betway Premiership. However, he found issue with that performance.
The last minutes of the games, we conceded a lot of situations to the opponent where we lost the balls too easily in transitions, and I think that it's something that we have to work on and improve to control the game.
Makosi hadn't won a game since the start of February, and that was in the CAF Confederation Cup, a competition which they failed to make the knockouts for. You had to go back to the month before for the last time that they picked up 3 points in the league. Well, in the Betway, in the Premier League rather, Liverpool were held to a 1-1 draw at Anfield by Spurs. At that point, seeing them rise into the top 5 though. Goalless Sunday between Palace Leeds and Forest Fulham, and Man United bounced back from their first loss under Michael Carrick to secure a 3-1 win over their top 4 rivals Villa. Bruno Fernandes bossed that encounter as he reached 100 assists for the Red Devils and also moved to 16 for the season. Carrick was asked if the Portuguese international could break Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne's league record 20 in a season.
Yeah, maybe. I'd much rather the points and us win than that. So I don't think it's something you go chasing for. I think it happens naturally anyway. But yeah, if he does, then he's obviously created goals for us. So I'll be happy with that. There's not a lot else to say. I've sat here and said before about Bruno, but I thought he was really good. But I thought it was a good team performance as well.
In tennis, Yannick Sinner held his nerve to claim the Indian Wells title 7-6, 7-6 against Daniil Medvedev. Hours before that, Arina Sabalenka captured the first title there for her in her career in Indian Wells. And in golf, Daniel Fantona powered to a final round 9 under par 63 to claim the Serengeti playoffs on the Sunshine Tour. Also, Cameron Young clinched the Players' Championship by a shot. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
The family lunch, the big egg hunt. Nobody wants to be the one arriving late for the Easter festivities. That's why we at Fly Fair make it our mission to get you to those special moments right when they count. And with affordable flights to 15 amazing destinations, there's really no excuse not to go. Hop to flysafair.co.za today and lock in those Easter flights early, because every bunny needs a break. Fly Fair, for the love of flying.
On the go and your stomach suddenly not keeping up, that burn, bloating or reflux could be symptoms of an ulcer. Stress can make it feel even worse. Ulsanic offers triple protection relief by coating your stomach lining with a protective layer and works for up to 6 hours. No prescription needed. Choose between suspension, tablets or effervescent tablets. Keep an eye on the shelf for Ulsanic's new packaging. A fresh new look outside, same trusted relief on the inside. Visit the Ulsanic Facebook page for more.
Zakes owns an electrical business that lit up the neighborhood. Literally. One small spark, one big legal nightmare. But he has public liability insurance from Budget. The damage was covered and his client sorted. Sharp. To get public liability cover, visit budgetinsurance.co.za. Budget Insurance, official insurer for good South Africans. Budget is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
EWN Traffic.
The CWN Traffic is brought to you by Peugeot. Pretty tough. So is Amo, good morning. Traffic lights are out. Surprise, surprise. Shocking, Dada Morero. Shocking.
Indeed, Steve, if you're traveling in the Sandton M1 South and Grayston Drive, traffic lights are out of order there in Rand Park Ridge at the N1 South and Beyers Nadia Drive, as well as in Midrand at the N1 South and Olifantsfontein Road. Please be on the lookout there and be patient. And also do remember that our pointsmen are on duty there. Please do remember to wave and smile at them. Otherwise, if you're traveling on the major highways, the N1 South towards Bryanston, we've got delays between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. There's also queuing traffic reported. This is on the M1 North. This is between Boyson's Road and the Car Street exit. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North. That's between the Elans interchange and the Geldnes interchange. Please be on the lookout there and be patient on the roads. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When your business needs strength, reliability, and serious capability, look no further than the Peugeot Professional Pickup range. Built tough for South African conditions. Peugeot pickups are engineered for fleets, professionals, and the agricultural heroes who keep this country moving. From rugged load capacity to fuel-efficient performance, these pickups work as hard as you do. Whether you're building, delivering, or farming, Peugeot has a model that's ready for the job. Visit your nearest Peugeot dealership today and power your business with the confidence of Peugeot Professional. Landtrek. It's pretty, but tough.
702.
What's the question?
All right, so the question, of course, the answer was 1988. Zintle in Boksburg. Zintle, hi, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen.
If today's answer is 1988 for 2,000 Rand in cash thanks to Outsurance, please tell me, what's the question?
The question is, in which year on this day was the American R&B singer, songwriter, and former backing vocalist for R&B group B2K, Jhené Aiko born?
Oh, Zintle, you're a winner. Yes, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And you have a quote from Outsurance, eh?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Zintle in Boksburg, congratulations. You've won 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance and 702. With Outsurance, saving on your car insurance feels like getting an interest rate cut from the bank. 30-year-old Daneo saves an unbelievable 1,094 Rand on her 2025 Kia Sonet. Get a quote now, and if Outsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. T's and information online.
Hi, this is Teko Modise, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. Be a winner who knows when it's time for a timeout and play responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Let's hear from Al, owner of Johnson's Cable, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
I thought it was going to be difficult to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
For electrical, tradesman services, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Good morning, Stephen and team. Stephen, you're doing a great job, by the way. Yeah, but I wanted to just add that can teachers please stop using children as social media content? Can they just stop? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. They keep doing it, using other people's children to create content. And some of the videos are really humiliating. I understand some are fun and funny and all that, but some are just humiliating. Can parents stop it? And can the government enforce the law?
Good morning, Stephen. Lance from Pretoria. I feel this teacher is a piece of rubbish. She should be fired summarily. That child is not responsible for his parents' financial standing in life. And now she's admonishing him, humiliating that poor child for their parents' mistakes. She should be fired and tarred and feathered in the city square. Thank you.
Sure, strong views. I mean, I understand that, I have to say. And I think I'm completely with the idea of not using kids for social media. I sometimes just think the whole thing of social media brings out the worst in us. There's a wonderful quote, I think it was from one of the people who founded LinkedIn, that for a social media platform to succeed, it needs to involve one of the 7 sins, the 7 deadly sins. In Catholicism, you have the 7 deadly sins. So gluttony, lust, envy, those things, right? I mean, isn't that it? I mean, LinkedIn is all about, look how good I am. It's pride. Pride is the sin. And it's AI nonsense, so much of it, unfortunately, which is a pity because it was great for a long time. X, goodness knows what you get there, but all you just get is fighting and kicking and screaming. I love that idea that for social media to be successful, it needs to involve one of the 7 deadly sins. And just look at what you do on social media and tell me if there's maybe not something in that. But completely agree. Kids off social media. We can't use them for our content. We don't use kids for entertainment. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? And ridiculing a child. I mean, look at yourself. 8 minutes to 8.
702.
702. What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
Kabazela, Jonathan, good morning. Long time.
Hey, Steve Ovo, how you doing, man?
I'm well. How's it all going?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Surprised to hear you on this morning. I nearly said good evening.
Yeah, I'm on 3, by the way. I've said 3 good evenings so far this morning, and there'll be a little calculator. I'll let you know at the end how many I do.
Yeah, I'll be sitting taking shots every time you say evening.
I'm aware. Rolex made me miserable. This is about fancy watches.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. A guy called Mike Posner, he had a couple of good hits back a couple of years ago. Specifically the song I Took a Pill in Ibiza to show Avicii I was cool. So after he made all that money from those songs, he decided he wanted to buy a Rolex day-date watch with a diamond bezel. It's known as the presidential Rolex because many U.S. presidents owned one of those Rolexes. And he thought it would be cool and great and he'd be happy with it. But he then found out having this Rolex was very, I don't know, he says it started possessing him because he started worrying about it. He didn't want to scratch it. He didn't want to forget it here and there. So let's take a listen to what he said and then we'll come back to the question.
When I travel, I'd always be worried. I'd be anxious that I was going to scratch it or break it. I'd be scared to reach in my backpack because I was afraid the zipper on my pack would scratch the face. And when I was in the hotels, I'd always put it in the safe, and then I was scared I was going to forget it. And it just started to weigh me down. And I realized I didn't possess the Rolex, it possessed me. And so I'd spent all this money to feel more anxiety, more fear, more worry. Well, that was a bad deal. So now I have this watch. It's a Timex. And I love this watch. It's beautiful. I love the fonts on it. It works. It's got a comfortable band. And I get so much joy out of this thing. So much more joy out of this thing. Oh, man. And I'm not worried about it. So I don't know if that's helpful to anyone watching this. Don't slave away for some possession. And don't let your possessions possess you. Keep going.
Yeah, Jonathan. I mean, I know people who've had a fancy car and they've been too scared to take it to work or too scared to park it or too scared to drive it at night. And then, yeah, like that phrase, I didn't possess it, it possessed me.
Yeah. And you think, you're buying these things and it's going to be fantastic and wonderful. And often it is for people, but sometimes you just get so anxious about it being bumped or scratched or, lost or whatever it may be. So I want to find out from our 702 family this morning, what's that one possession that you bought and it just gave you worries? You just thought, it's going to do this. This is going to happen to it. And then eventually maybe you thought, I'm going to get rid of it because I don't need the stress. Like old Mike, he that Timex watch that he's got, very, very cheap watch, but, he doesn't have to worry about it if he scratches it or he loses it or something like that. It's in his books, it's okay. So what was that purchase for you? I'd love to hear that this morning.
Jonathan, thanks very much indeed. Kabazela with What's Gone Viral this morning. Is there something you've bought? Maybe it was a car. Maybe it was a piece of jewelry. And people spend a fortune on pieces of jewelry, and then you find years later you've just worn it once or twice, or you worn it to one thing, and then you were too scared and it was just always easy. I always find there's something that I'm comfortable to wear or drive or whatever, and things I'm still a bit nervous about. And I'm always so interested in my feelings around that. What for you was something expensive you bought that maybe you actually just didn't get the value out?
EWN Traffic.
The CWN traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. Get all-inclusive fares, your seat, your meal, and your baggage. It's all in. Book at flysaa.com.
Well, Steve, we've got more traffic volumes around the Isando area. This is along the R24 East between Barber Road and the OR Tambo turnoff. An accident reported there. There's another accident seen right around the OR Tambo airport. It's right on the R21 South coming out of Atlas Road. It's also causing massive queues. So traveling around the Kempton Park this morning, it's very problematic due to those accident scenes. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
702.
702.
Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
Baphelile, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
Yeah, well, I think I'm fine.
You're doing well. You're doing great.
Early in the day, thanks. Yes.
I have some feedback for you. 702 lenders are loving Muteo's question about what they want on banknotes.
Isn't a great question,
It is. Some of them saying that food should be on our banknotes. That will make people spend the money quicker. But others say maybe we should put warnings on them. Don't spend too much. Careful, it's not enough.
Don't gamble.
Think fast. Ooh, stop. Those are the type of things that people say they must be put on our banknotes. But Chad on WhatsApp says, forget the normal banknotes. Why not give South African a gold-backed currency? Maybe we should go big or go gold.
Chad, it stops inflation. But man, the world's moved on since the gold standard.
And after 6, we spoke to educational psychologist Dr. Rain Nick about the suspended teacher who recorded a learner. 702 lenders are saying the teacher should have used that moment to teach a lesson about sharing instead of taking a video. A big missed opportunity right there.
Lots of anger about that, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is all I have for you, Stephen.
Baphelile, thanks very much indeed. Do appreciate it. All right, update there just on some of the feedback that we've had. Lots of conversations coming through about what you would put on a banknote, what would define us as South Africa. There's an obvious one. Think of a team that represents us that's done pretty well over the years. I mean, who would I be thinking of? That I think has done a good job in uniting us, bringing us all together. Not for long enough, unfortunately, but that's not their fault. But who would that team be? Eh? Who would I be thinking of? I mean, so obviously the Springboks. Maybe that's what we need to do. No, not Chiefs. No, obviously, and not Pirates. I mean, maybe in despair, perhaps. If you want to pick a winner, go with Patrice. Good evening. Good evening. That's 4. Good morning with 702. I'm Stephen Curtis. It's 8 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Witness D's alleged killer will face the court following a breakthrough in the case, and Trump presses NATO to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. A suspect arrested in connection with the murder of a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will make his first appearance in the Brakpan Magistrates Court this morning. Marius van der Merwe, who testified under the pseudonym Witness D, was shot outside his home in December. Police have made a breakthrough in his murder case, with one suspect arrested in Johannesburg on Saturday in connection with the attack. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Witness D gave chilling testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry about alleged corruption within the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. He alleged that suspended EMPD Chief Julius Mkhwanazi forced him to dispose of a body at a dam in 2022. Despite testifying partially in camera, he was brutally killed in full view of his family shortly after his appearance at the commission. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate says investigations into his murder are ongoing.
The vehicle believed to have been used on the day that Witness D was murdered has also been seized. General Fani Masemola has applauded the team for moving with speed in ensuring a breakthrough in this case.
The arrested suspect, who will appear in court today, is alleged to be the one who pulled the trigger in Witness D's murder. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has vowed that they will find another person linked to Van der Merwe's murder.
They were both involved in other
commission of other crimes. And for now, the investigation, the person we've arrested is the person we arrested for the killing of Witness D. And I think more will come out as time goes on.
The Madanga Commission of Inquiry continues to probe links between suspected crime cartel bosses and law enforcement as another senior police officer takes the witness stand today. Sergeant Faninkosi, also known as Witness F, returns to the commission today to respond to allegations that he acted as a conduit between suspected crime bosses and senior police officials. Nkosi was previously given anonymity. However, he launched a court application last year to not testify at the commission, bringing his name into the public record. Tabiso Koba reports.
Sergeant Faninkosi works at the SAPS Gauteng Division for Organized Crime. Kosi is expected to shed light on a number of allegations against him. Chief amongst them is that he allegedly took bribe money from suspected crime boss Katiso Katie Mulefe. The Madanga Commission has already seen CCTV footage showing Kosi arriving at Mulefe's home empty-handed and leaving with a bag. Nkosi is also suspected to be the conduit between the head of organized crime at SAPS, Richard Shibiri, and another suspected crime boss, Vusimuzi Kat Matlala. While Nkosi's identity is now publicly known, he will still be testifying virtually with only his voice being broadcast. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The High Court in Johannesburg will today hear an application seeking the recusal of Justice Sisi Khampepe as chair of the TRC inquiry. The application is brought by former presidents Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki, who've accused Khampepe of bias due to her roles in the original TRC commission and as deputy director of public prosecutions between 1988 and 1999. President Cyril Ramaphosa in court papers said he's not opposed to Khampepe's removal, saying he's instructed Justice Minister Mamloko Kubai to ask her to step down, but Khampepe has declined. Dimakatso Leshuro reports.
The Commission has described the court challenge as a delaying tactic by the two former presidents aimed at avoiding appearing before the TRC Cases Commission. It says the application is meritless and against public interest as it seeks to obstruct the work of the Commission. It argues that as former heads of state, Zuma and Mbeki should know better. In addition to the allegation of bias, former presidents Zuma and Mbeki have also raised concerns about the conduct of the Commission's chief evidence leader, Advocate Ishmael Semenya, SC, alleging undisclosed improper collusion between Semenya and the Commission and failure to properly address alleged procedural irregularities. Both are asking the court to review and set aside Khampepe's refusal to recuse herself. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
And President Donald Trump says the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, faces, quote, a very bad future if U.S. allies fail to help open the critical oil transport Strait of Hormuz. Trump says the U.S. has aided Ukraine in the war with Russia, and now he expects Europe to help on the Strait of Hormuz, whose closure has sent energy prices soaring around the world. Uncertainty about how long the war against Iran might last has rattled oil markets, where crude prices have surged over the past 2 weeks due to the supply risks. Trump told reporters traveling with him on his Air Force One plane that the U.S. is in discussions with about 7 countries on getting help to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi has told CBS News that Iran is ready to speak to countries about the safe passage of their vessels.
I cannot mention any country in particular, but we have been approached by a number of countries who wants to have a safe passage for their vessels, and this is up to our military to decide. And they have already decided to let a group of vessels belongs to different countries to pass in a safe and secure.
Gold is trading at $5,015.76 an ounce. The rand is at 16.85 to the dollar, 22.34 to the pound, 19.28 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $104.79 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the R24 East, an accident right near the OR Tambo Airport. Delays coming out of Barbara Road. There's also queuing traffic on the R21 South. This is between the OR Tambo Airport and Jet Park Road. It's due to another accident scene.
And in your sport, one encounter left at match day 30 of the Premier League with Brentford set to host Wolves this evening. Arsenal 9 points clear at the top after City dropped points. Back home, there was also a title race twist as the Betway Premiership saw Orlando Pirates secure just a draw this weekend, leading by a single point, having played a game more than Mamelodi Sundowns and the Blitzboks 7 Series champs for the first time in 5 years.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 22 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. A suspect arrested in connection with the murder of a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will make his first appearance at the Brakpan Magistrates Court this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. 702 on 92.7 and 106 FM.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And on DSTV channel 856.
Good morning, 8 minutes after 8. I'm Stephen Krutis in for Bongani Bingwa with you this morning. And plenty, of course, that we've been talking about on the show today. What do you think would reflect South Africa on our banknotes? We've had all sorts of great suggestions about that. We've been talking about children and social media, that awful video of this poor kid being, I suppose, ridiculed by a teacher in front of their classmates. I mean, just 7 or 8, I mean, tiny, for not having enough money, not having money to buy a pie and a juice on a sort of pie day that they're having at the school. We've been talking about that this morning, talking about online gambling as well. So many different things going on as always. And I know the traffic is pretty difficult as well this morning. So you have my deepest sympathies for it. Let me put it like that. Here with me, Mateo and Amo. A busy morning. Mateo, you're the one who started the conversation around the banknotes. Lots of interesting suggestions about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I think at this point in time, not here in South Africa, it's also elsewhere in the world, nobody wants to see political leaders on the banknote.
Yeah.
No one thinks they are deserving, and we have all sorts of complaints. So it's an interesting thing to think about. What else would define you as a people, especially on the banknote? Because usually we use landmarks, animals, and previously, of course, historical figures. So that's why I wanted to know this morning why you'd want that change, because of course the Bank of England is changing the pound sterling and what it looks like, and they're removing the likes of Winston Churchill in some of their famous grades, and they're putting hedgehogs and other and other animals on.
I think of the UK, I don't think of a hedgehog. I mean, I once spent a week with a British hedgehog, but you know,
and a badger and all sorts of
badger.
Yeah,
a badger. Really? They've got nothing else there, I suppose. I mean, that's their wild animals, right? I mean, isn't it hilarious? I mean, what have we got? A cheetah, lions, all of it, elephants. Amor, have you had any thoughts yet? And you heard Jonathan talking about expensive things that people have bought that they don't enjoy because they're just too scary to own.
Maybe I'm not that rich enough to be able to buy those highly priced possessions. But I don't have a thing that owns me like that.
Yeah.
Like, I would think about it if I'm sitting down. Oh, I have to lock it up, or no, I'm not.
Yeah, I think, I've sometimes, when you get a new phone, I'm kind of like quite careful about it. And I start to get irritated with myself after a little while because it is just a phone. Although now they're so expensive.
So when they're new, you normally pull them out quite slowly. Right?
Yes.
Especially if you haven't bought the cover for the phone yet. And everywhere you go, you're busy patting at your pants to find out if you still have it in your pocket. I mean, we recently got a mirror, one of those standalone tall mirrors, and of course if you are married you are the designated installer of such things.
And you've got kids.
Yes, I left it there for 2 weeks because I was just like,
I
watched many videos of how to set these things up, so last night eventually I did it. It's still giving me the heebie-jeebies because if somebody just bumps it
goes. Oh, I know that feeling. All right, possessions that have owned you. 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Good morning. 11 minutes after 8.
Morning, Steve. It's Mav here from Kenilworth. Man, many years ago I bought. I always wanted to buy this car. It was my dream car, and after buying it, I never slept every movement that happens outside. I was out there, thinking someone might be stealing it. I had a constant fight with my wife and my children for eating in the car. It was just worrisome. I ended up getting rid of that car because it was just like Kabazela said, it was now possessing me.
Morning, Stephen and team. I bought I think it was like my first car, the VW Velocity, and at that time those cars used to be stolen every second, and mine actually got stolen at some point. But I used to worry about that car. Or when I go to the mall, I will be like shopping, and then all of a sudden I run just to check if that car is around.
Oh, I know that feeling. Oh, no, I know. You don't want that. You don't need that. Yeah, no, very, very interesting. Verona on the line from Witbank. Emelachleni. Verona, hi. Suggestions for banknotes. What have you got for us?
Well, one thing all South Africans can agree on is we all love our rugby and the Springboks. They've been successful. We've won 4
World Cups.
So
Yeah.
the team, when picking up that cup, all the 4 World Cups, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Verona. I enjoy that.
Yeah, we take pride in the Springboks, so why not?
Mm. And anyone who comes from New Zealand has to use our money.
Exactly. Just a little more spice for it.
A little dig, and every time you go people go to New Zealand, when they go through customs, whatever, they can, I didn't know I had this note. Yeah, you can keep it.
Exactly.
Verona and Witbank, thanks very much indeed. Sebastian, let's change the subject a little bit because there's been a big crime incident in Eldorado Park. There's lots of talk around the SANDF, lots of talk about them being deployed and all of that. Sebastian in Eldo's, good morning. What happened?
Good morning.
Oh, Sebastian, just talk up, please, if you can.
Good morning, Stephen.
So much better. Go for it, Sebastian.
Yes. What happened was on Saturday there was a shooting in Eldorado Park where 2 people passed away and six were injured. And the army was not around because they came there on Tuesday with all the pomp and ceremony. They were there for 3 hours and they left, and we haven't seen them again. They were not around. Sure. And the situation in Eldorado Park has gotten worse. And the age of the guys that are shooting is so young. They under 18 years old, and they're so young, and nothing's happening. The town of Eldorado Park is living under siege. We're even too afraid to send our children to school. We're too afraid to even go to work because you don't know who's going to be the next person to be shot. The shootings taking place there, and the army was there, as I said, for 3 hours on that in last week, and they left. We haven't seen them again, and for me, it's just it feels so futile. But I haven't given up hope, Stephen. We as a community are resilient, and I'm sure we can fight this scourge that is besetting Eldorado Park.
Yeah. And Sebastian, I mean, for the situation that you're in, if you see the SANDF there every day, you're probably going to feel safe to send your kids to school again.
Absolutely, Stephen. But as I said to you, they came, but they left, and they got our hopes up that the situation was going to change. And we're hoping again that they can answer us, that they can come back and sort this thing out with the help, as I said to you, Stephen. They need to involve the community. They cannot do this thing on their own. We need to hold hands with one another, and we need to fight this the scourge of gangsterism in Eldorado Park. Thank you so much, Stephen, and good evening.
Sebastian, thank you. My count of good evening so far is 4. That's why he's saying that. Sebastian, thanks. I mean, I get so scared. I mean, I have a teenage boy and a teenage girl, and I think to myself, like, can you imagine when you watch your teenager And I suppose the boys are more susceptible to gangs, but I mean, it's more complicated, and I can't say that I know nearly enough about it. But to watch your child getting sucked in and to think to yourself, I have nothing else to offer them, that must be the worst. That feeling must be a terrible thing. And to think, how do I stop them from that? How do I keep them from that? How do I... who do I point to? Do I try and send them to a school in another suburb? I mean, that's what you do, isn't it? You try and keep them out as much as you can. Get them to another place. Do anything to get them in. Lie, cheat, I would. I think nothing morally wrong with that. I mean, you shouldn't, but I would do it for my kids. And what do you do then? And people will do anything for their kids. And it's still not enough. And doesn't that tell you so much about the situation that we're in? Look, I want to believe... And I understand Sebastian, and I feel him actually, that I want the SANDF to make a difference. I want it to work. I just worry. I worry. I mean, imagine this scenario, right? Do you know how often I've done a news story on EWN of an off-duty police officer being attacked for their gun? I mean, almost every Friday. If you go and look at the numbers, it's huge. Now, what makes you think the same's not going to happen with SANDF soldiers? They get ambushed, their gangs are well-resourced, well-organized. Can you imagine a shootout can you imagine this? I'm not saying this will happen, but imagine this. Where the SANDF lose. I mean, imagine that. I mean, geesh. Because the guys they're up against have probably used a gun more than they have. Yes, some of our people have been deployed in the DRC for a long time. There must be, it's a horrible phrase, battle-hardened. But some of the people up against them, they have experience in this. And that's what scares me. Your thoughts, please. 072 702 1702. And good to hear from you as well on 011 8830702. 18 after 8.
Let's talk.
We're listening.
Hi, Radio 702. I find it extremely disturbing that some teachers are on TikTok lives during lessons and even answering questions on a live while they're supposed to be teaching. Like, I don't get the logic behind that. And then you expect kids not to be on social media during school hours, but you are doing the very same. Like, in my days, no teacher would even be texting while, during a lesson. Like, I don't understand this concept of using phones during a lesson and going on TikTok live and answering questions and like laughing and, oh my goodness, like why are parents paying at the end of the day, even if it's a government school? For goodness sake, stay off the phone. Like, go live in your own capacity, in your own home. For goodness sakes.
Yeah, get off social media. It's an addiction. We have to understand this. It's an addiction. When you're on it, when you're doing things, you feel a sense of agency. I've acted. I've done something. I've spoken to a psychologist before about why is it that people will record a video of something happening, an attack or a crime or someone in an accident. Why don't they go and help? And they said to me, they feel they are acting. And you do. This is my opinion. It's a bit like being on the radio. But, isn't that what's happening? I think that's one of the really interesting things about it. Let's go to Solly in Leondale. Solly, hi, the SANDF deployment. How are you feeling about it?
How are you, Stephen?
Yeah, go for it, Solly.
Yeah, man, I just want to say that my observation in our country, it is not the lack of resources, but it is how we manage the resources.
Yeah.
Because of the president has signed off and he thinks that he has done something big for the country, but that does not enough. He needs to follow through how these soldiers deployment is managed, because of they are there to take their SNT and all of that. And some of them, I think that they don't wholly believe in that they must be deployed in those areas. So they need to be managed properly. And let me also move on the issue of the municipalities. The grass is not cut. You've got the potholes and so on. Does not mean that we do not have the resources to cut grass and close the potholes. But the problem is how we manage these resources.
Yeah, no, sorry. I have to agree with you there. We just don't manage them properly. We waste the money. Solly and Leondale, thanks. The budget of Joburg, it's 83 billion rand, eh? Where does it go? I think Ekurhulenis can't be far off. Where does it go? Isn't that always the question? I know we keep coming back to Joburg. It's because it's our daily life. It's what you drove through this morning. 21 minutes after 8.
EWN Traffic.
Talking of which, the CWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Amo, good morning. Crash on the R24 East.
That's correct, Steve. That's in the Kempton Park area, Isando. Well, it's causing about a 20-minute hold-up coming out of Barbary Road towards the OR Tambo Airport. The R24 West is also backed up as a result of the scene. If you're traveling on the R21 North, we've got heavier traffic volumes. This is between the OR Tambo Airport and Atlas Road, also due to another accident scene. So please be on the lookout if you're traveling around the Kempton Park, Isando areas. If you can, try to use the R23 towards the N12 exit, especially if you're heading towards areas like Benoni as well as Germiston. If you're traveling on the Mark 1 South bumper to bumper traffic, this is between the Baklu interchange and Grayston Drive. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a work commuter. She's done this route 1,000 times. Perhaps she's daydreaming of a different job or just counting down to the weekend. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just another car in traffic, it's anticipation on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
23 after 8. Adam, it's been a minute. Good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
I'm well, yeah. Lots going on. Lots going on in your world too. What's the latest out of Dubai? I keep thinking, and I bump into people who have family there. Quite a sort of scary moment in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Although it does depend who you watch or who you follow. Certainly there are influencers in Dubai suggesting it's business as usual, everything's fine, no problems with drones, we're staying put. There might be a slight sort of, we've constructed this wonderful tax-free luxury resort life, particularly for foreigners. 9 out of 10 of the population in Dubai are foreigners. And therefore, the curated image of Dubai is not to be tampered with, even if there are drones falling. And for instance, right now as we speak, Dubai Airport has closed again because of a drone attack nearby. I think it's targeted an oil refinery or an oil dump of some sort. So by other accounts, indeed, by most accounts, frankly, there are empty beach bars, empty sun lounges, the pools are being left, some of the beaches are closed, high-end stores like Gucci are being shuttered, tourist attractions like parks and water parks and theme parks and attraction wheels, observation wheels, that sort of stuff, they've closed. Hotels are offering cut price deals. That it's essentially become a bit of a ghost town is certainly what some are saying. Those who have wanted to leave have, and there are certainly some still staying put. But there is this slight feeling of, it's not really blitz spirit, is it? It's a kind of denial. And I guess we're all guilty of that sometimes. No, it's all fine. It's okay. When perhaps it really isn't. And we're not talking about a war that's going to be nipped in the bud anytime soon, despite what the American president likes to tell us.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no prospect. And you remind me that denial is a river not too far away from Dubai. Iran's female footballers, they're in Australia, some of them. They were playing in a tournament there. Some decided they were given, what was it called, a humanitarian visa. I mean, that's not normally what Australia does to people who are not Australian.
Actually, no, they were a bit softer on this, weren't they? I guess it was very high profile, and you could argue Australia was kind of in a corner on this, but they perhaps, arguably, anyway, did the right thing. There were a bunch of women who were under all sorts of threats from home. So this is when some of them refused to sing the Iranian national anthem during a tournament on the Gold Coast. And Iranian state TV described them, as those who didn't sing the anthem, as wartime traitors, calling for a severe punishment for them. Iran's sports military says, though, they have defeated the enemy's plans and they have managed to resist psychological warfare, extensive propaganda and seductive offers, because all but 2 of them have now flown out of Australia to go home. They haven't actually arrived back in Iran, I believe. But there are still 2 of the Iranian women's football team who have stayed with their humanitarian visas. The captain is the latest one, I think, to say, no, that's it, she will go home. It makes you wonder, we have no evidence of this, I have to say, this is total speculation, but what kind of threats were delivered from home, and not least, how worried would you be about your family and friends back
Yeah.
home if you were one of those Iranian female footballers? So, awkward.
That's always the thing for me. I mean, I always remember, during the Cold War, Russians wouldn't let a sort of, submarine captain, for example, be without a family in Russia. The family had to stay if they were going out, so they couldn't affect. That's how things would work. And then talking of Russia, they're having a low-tech revolution.
Yes, this is one for the anti-tech Luddite in us. President Vladimir Putin signed a law a couple of months ago, less than that, 3 weeks ago it was, whereby the Federal Security Service, the FSB, the new KGB, can basically shut down all telecom services, no questions asked. They did this. So suddenly in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and several other Russian cities, no internet, no Wi-Fi, no mobile phone usage, nothing for over a week, a self-imposed blackout for no apparent reason. We don't know why. The result, though, was that, just taking Moscow as an example, there was suddenly a 25% increase in sales of walkie-talkies. Landline phones likewise went up by a similar amount. There was a 73% increase in the sales of pagers, because, I mean, it's a sort of very old-fashioned thing, but it's almost like a little text message. I suppose you can kind of get around it. People were also buying paper things, paper maps and paper guides and other forms of paper communication. Letter writing probably went up, though we don't have any evidence of that yet. It is that thing that ultimately human beings find a way. And whilst we all think we're hung on our iPads or our iPhones or whatever, our smartphones, don't you just love a paper map and a walkie-talkie? There's a Boy Scout and a Girl Guide in us all, really.
There is. And in fact, one of our colleagues here had a project where they had to, for their kid, I mean, their child had a project, which means the parent did, and they had to find things that nobody used anymore. And we were taking suggestions. I mean, obviously cassette tapes and things like that, but a map book was one of them that came through. Because who uses a map book? Yeah, sheesh.
What about a bit of semaphore and some Morse code as well? Let's throw those in as well while we're at it.
Why not? Adam, great to talk to you again. Thanks very much. 28 after 8.
EWN Traffic.
The CWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. See just how far you can go with them. Book at flysaa.com now.
Well, Steve, if you're traveling or heading towards Kaya Sand, do expect heavy traffic volumes along Witkoppen Road. An accident reported along this route right near Malibongwe Drive. It's causing heavy traffic volumes. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South leaving Midrand. This is between the Braakfontein Interchange and Olifantsfontein Road, while traveling in Kempton Park, bumper-to-bumper traffic along several roads, including the R24 West, the R24 East, as well as the R21 North, due to a major accident scenes that happened this morning along this route. So please be on the lookout and be patient if you're traveling within the Kempton Park areas. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
EWN Business.
Mateo, good morning. MTN reporting solid returns, more than 083, huh?
Yes. Africa's biggest telecoms operator, MTN Group, says it swung back to an annual profit before tax of 47.4 billion rand, driven by strong performances in MTN Nigeria and Ghana. MTN had reported a restated loss before tax of 4.1 billion rand in the previous financial year. The group's service revenue rose 22.7% to 218 billion rand in the year ended in December, led by strong growth of 55 and 36% in Nigeria and Ghana, respectively. Now, overall, MTN recorded a service revenue growth of 2% amid competitive pressures here in South Africa for the prepaid segment. Total customers up 5.6% at 307 million active users. Active data customers are now up 9.4% to 172 million. Looking at the markets, still quite weak from Friday's losses. The all share down 2,000 points. Industrials were up just marginally, while banking stocks lost out by 0.5%. Mining shares were down 5% on Friday. The rand at this hour, 16 rand 84, uncomfortably close to that 17 rand mark. 19 rand 26 against the euro, and at 22 rand 32 cents against the British pound. Price of gold, $5,021 an ounce, flat this morning, while platinum is up more than 1% at $2,050. Brent crude at $104 a barrel. More business this afternoon.
Mateo, thanks very much indeed. Just gone 8:30 the time for the latest Eyewitness News. Sofiso, good morning again. And the agricultural experts talking about the prices of fertilizer.
That's right, Stephen. Agricultural economist Wandile Slobo has warned about the effects of rising prices of fertilizer and fuel on local farmers due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. And about 30% of global fertilizer supplies are transported through the Strait of Hormuz, which has been blocked, prompting increases in shipping costs. Slobo has warned that if the war, now in its third week, is prolonged, it could push up fertilizer prices even higher and trickle down to food prices as well as fuel.
Fuel accounts for about 13% of the grain farmers' input costs, so that's quite substantive. And fertilizer is a significant cost part of the production in the grain farmers or any other value chain really in the South African side. Then these are some of the risks that we have to be thinking about in the South African agricultural sector.
Political analyst Dirk Coetzee says the removal of Joburg Mayor Dada Morero has come too late to positively influence the ANC's expected performance in the upcoming local government elections. The party's regional executive committee resolved to relieve Morero of his duties, citing his losing faction's decision to challenge in court the outcome of last year's regional elective conference. Coetzee says the ANC has not been able to sufficiently respond to parties like the DA, which have capitalized on protests and poor service delivery.
They don't have much time until the election because it will most possibly be early in November. So therefore they will have to develop a strategy which is very different from what they have up to now. The DA and Action SA now sort of did is that they lay down to a large extent the rules of the game.
And challenges in the country's port and freight sector are expected to take center stage at the inaugural National Transport Conference in Midrand today. The 3-day conference will bring together decision makers, investors to discuss ways of building a viable system that can drive economic growth and create jobs. Transport Department spokesperson Colin Msibi says this will be part of President Cyril Ramaphosa's keynote address.
We're indeed hoping that the outcome of this particular conference are really going to help us in a number of ways. Part of it is the policy alignment in terms of our sector commitments, the new public-private partnerships, as well as the improvement of intergovernmental coordination, as well as the acceleration of priority transport projects.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, with showers expected today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 22 and 23 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the R24 east. This is between Barbara Road and OR Tambo Airport. There's also queuing traffic along the R21 north between the OR Tambo Airport and Atlas Road due to another accident scene.
The top story this hour, there's a warning about the effects of rising prices of fertilizer and fuel on local farmers due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East.
The family lunch, the big egg hunt. Nobody wants to be the one arriving late for the Easter festivities. That's why we at FlySafair make it our mission to get you to those special moments right when they count. And with affordable flights to 15 amazing destinations, there's really no excuse not to go. Hop to flysafair.co.za today and lock in those Easter flights early, because every bunny needs a break. FlySafair, for the love of flying.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy, but day by day, somehow it grew. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you, because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are, and you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance.
17 March, brought to you
by Proudly South African on 702. 702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Morning, Stephen and team, Sheldon and Pretoria. Surprising to hear about the shooting in Eldorado Park this weekend. Were the soldiers not there on Thursday or Friday? Are they not making an impact?
Once again, the president of this country has implemented deployment of soldiers to come and help with gang violence and as well as this illegal mining, the criminal gangs. And yet again, you implement something and there's no plan. Zero. How do you implement something and put boots on the ground, yet there's no plan on how things are going to work? The fact that the soldiers were in Eldorado Park for 3 hours, then gone, how is that going to work if soldiers are just going to visit each location one by one for 3 hours and they're gone? That is not a plan. They're not going to defeat, they're not going to serve the purpose of what they're deployed.
Yeah, I mean, isn't this the question? I mean, what are you going to do now when you're there? Everyone's like, get the SANDF in. And then, and this is a group of people, and I don't want to diss the soldiers, but they have not been properly looked for, cared for, given the right equipment over the years. Time again, people have argued about this and said the SANDF needs more money. And as always in a democracy, the argument becomes, do we increase social grants or do we increase spending on the SANDF? And the answer is, you have to find ways to manage that. And we've gone very far in social spending. We waste a lot of money. Obviously, a lot just, goes missing. But we haven't spent enough on the military. And I'm sorry to have to say this, but look at the leadership of the military as well. Look at their recent track records. They remind me, I'm afraid, of the leadership of the SAPS. 21 minutes to 9.
EWN Sport.
Anthony Teixeira, good morning again. The Springbok Sevens making a bid, obviously, to get on our banknotes. They did so well.
Yeah, good morning, Stephen. Yes, head coach Philip Snyman says that the Blitzboks will take a moment to celebrate winning the Series League title for the first time since 2021. They won 4 tournaments this season, including their home leg in Cape Town and the first ever New York title. Snyman says work is still to be done, with them switching focus to the postseason, which starts next month in Hong Kong.
It's a little bit sooner than expected, but yes, I think we're still building. We're not where we want to be. There's still the championship ahead of us, so we need to stay humble and we need to keep both feet on the ground. And I still believe this team can go even further and they can make another step up. For the next week or so, we're going to celebrate the victory. We're going to be really proud, and then we get back to zero and make sure we kick into another gear.
Well, the Premier League still has one clash this evening, with Brentford set to host bottom of the table Wolves at 10 p.m. Arsenal, the real winners this weekend, as they open up a 9-point lead over Man City, although they have played a game more than the Citizens. This is after the Sky Blues dropped points in a draw at West Ham and the Gunners won late on over Everton. Man United consolidated third with a 3-1 victory over fourth placed Aston Villa, and Spurs secured a point to move above the drop zone with a draw at Anfield, as well as seeing Liverpool move into the top 5 with that point. Honest Lots insists this is one of the many knocks his team have taken this season, but he remains optimistic that the Reds will make the top 5 and qualify for next season's UEFA Champions League.
Yeah, of course it's damaging, but it's how many times this has been damaging for us. We don't help ourselves at all. It's so many of times this season that we've created much more XG or chances than the amount of goals we score, and we struggle to keep clean sheets. We haven't had as many clean sheets as you would want if you want to go higher up in the table. Yeah, that's a bad combination for picking up the amount of points we want to pick up.
Back home, the Betway Premiership had a 1-0 victory for Kaizer Chiefs over Durban City yesterday, while on Saturday, Orlando Pirates slipped up as they failed to take advantage of Mamelodi Sundowns not playing in the league this weekend. They dropped points as they salvaged a 1-1 draw against Siwelele in the second half. While in cricket, both Proteas started their New Zealand tours with differing results in the first of the 5 T20s they'll be playing. The men claimed an emphatic 7-wicket win, while this is after the women had lost by 80 runs. They're both in action Tuesday morning. In tennis, Arina Sabalenka claimed a maiden Indian Wells title. The women's world number one had to come from a set down as she won the tiebreak against Elena Rybakina.
It was super hot. I was dying there in the tiebreak, but I also saw that she was also not feeling her best, so I was just trying to push myself basically to the limit, and I'm super happy that in those last 3 points of the match I was able to pull out really great tennis and get the win.
Men's title won by Yannick Sinner, and in case you missed it, Kimi Antonelli became the second youngest F1 Grand Prix winner as he took the Chinese checkered flag. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
With OUTsurance, saving on your car insurance feels like getting an interest rate cut from the bank. 30-year-old Daneo saves an unbelievable R1,094 on her 2025 Kia Sonet. Get a quote now, and if OUTsurance can't save you money, ask for R500 or R1,500 if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. OUTsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Hi, this is Alia Itzebet, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. A reminder that you can still shoot for the stars while playing responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counselling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Transport doesn't just move people, it moves the economy. This week, the future of SA's transport system takes centre stage at the National Transport Conference, hosted by the Department of Transport, 16th to the 18th of March at the Gallagher Convention Centre. Catch the Clements Maniatela Show live from the conference today for insights and more from the leaders and decision-makers driving the sector forward. Find out how stakeholders are tackling critical issues from rail reform, port congestion to road safety and sustainability. Brought to you by the Department of Transport on 702.
EWN Traffic.
At 16 minutes now to 9. Amo, how are we looking?
Well, Steve, our hottest spots right now are within the Kempton Park and Isando areas, particularly because of those two major accident scenes, the one on the R24 East and the other one on the R21 North. So please be on the lookout if you're traveling along these areas. If you're heading towards Germiston as well as Bedford View, please try to use the N12 West instead. If you're traveling in the Sandton area, we've got an accident reported along Greyston Drive right near the M1 exit. It's causing delays. There's also queuing traffic on the M1 South between Greyston Drive and College Drive while traveling in the Kayasen area. An accident reported on Vertkoppen Road after Malibongo Drive, also causing delays there. We'll have more traffic updates for you at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Reliable water services depend on a sustainable system. When residents pay for municipal services, it enables Johannesburg Water to maintain infrastructure, repair leaks, upgrade networks, and continue delivering essential water and sanitation services to the city. Revenue collected from services is reinvested into operating and strengthening the water system for everyone. By paying for services, residents play an important role in supporting the sustainability of Johannesburg's water supply. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
The Audi Open House Sales Event is here and you're invited. Come test drive a wide range of Audi models, take advantage of exclusive offers, and stand a chance to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Formula One, courtesy of Audi. The Audi Open House Sales Event is now on until 30th of April at Audi dealerships nationwide. Book your test drive today at audi.co.za. Terms and conditions apply.
The Money Show. Weekday evenings at 6.
Fuel Industry Association now telling larger users petroleum companies are only going to supply the volumes that they've already agreed to contractually.
The moment people, they want to buy more than what they are contracted to, you are going to create an artificial short, in the market. And while we know very well that, yes, there is no shortage. Yes, we are operating in a tight environment.
Abafani Chufalaro is the CEO of the Fuel Industry Association of South Africa.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking. Trade powers Africa's growth.
And businesses that succeed are those able to manage risk, optimize liquidity, and move confidently across markets. Absa Corporate and Investment Banking helps enable your trade flows for growth. Absa is a registered FSP. T's and C's apply.
Coming up
on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Well, coming up on the Clement Manyatela Show is Clement Manyatela. Clement, hi, you're at an OB. You're at the big transport conference.
Yes, we are, Stephen. Good morning to you and our listeners. We're at the National Transport Conference here in Midrand. It's at Gallagher Convention Center, brought to you by the Department of Transport. This is where you're going to have the different stakeholders just gather here. There's an opportunity for interaction, engagement, constructive networking with decision makers, their investors, innovators here, and they're all under one roof to discuss how to build a sustainable transport system that works for the economy and job creation. So we're going to bring in some interviews from this conference this morning. Also on the open line, though, we're going to reflect on the Chinese Grand Prix. We'll reflect also on the changes that reportedly Treasury wants to make to the two-pot retirement system. But at 10 o'clock, we're going to discuss the decision the ANC in Johannesburg has apparently taken to recall the mayor of Johannesburg. 10:30, we continue with our series looking at the role of multilateral institutions. We're focused on the UN. We've looked at the World Bank Organization. Today, we're going to be focusing on the World Trade Organization. And then we wrap up the show at 11 o'clock with our Family Matters feature. And today, we're discussing the effects of incarceration on families.
Yeah, such an interesting one. Clement Manyatela, looking forward to it. Thank you. You'll be on your radio from 9 o'clock. And that issue around Dada Morero, I mean, I sort of asked earlier, is there anyone supporting him or the ANC at this stage in Joburg? There must be. I mean, there will be. I mean, plenty. And yet we hear very little from them, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. But still time, actually. 011 883 0702. 12 minutes now to 9 o'clock.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a guaranteed premium for 12 months even if you claim? For electrical, tradesman services and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
11 minutes to 9 the time. Hope you're doing okay in the traffic. Well, Jazz coming back to the Joburg Zoo. Have you ever been to the Joburg Zoo at night? I have. And it's amazing. I mean, it just looks fantastic. It's great. They do a light thing sometimes. Take the kids. There are light walks and things you can do. It really is amazing. But the Jazz in the Lights Music Festival is coming back. And actually, it's this weekend. Vuyisile Mshudulu is the Director of Arts, Culture and Heritage at the City of Joburg. Vuyisile, good morning.
Good morning to you, Stephen, and good morning to the listeners of 702.
What can we look forward to this weekend? What's coming up? What are you doing?
So we're doing one of the exciting and flagship initiatives of Arts Alive, which is an assemblage of artistic offerings that is curated by the city of Johannesburg. And we will be bringing to you, a galaxy of jazz artists as part of the Jazz in the Lights Festival, which is taking place on the 21st of March. Gates opening at 10 and also ending at 10. So there'll be a lot of music, activities. The ticket also enables you to have a tour around the zoo. So we have curated Jazz in the Lights as a family-oriented event that is friendly for children, that is friendly for the aged, and also for young people. So it's really a beautiful musical experience with a packed lineup featuring artists such as Andile Yenana, Dumza Maswana, Jimmy Lulu, Msaki, Mpume Dlamini, Kantino Kwali, Africa Mkize was one of the legends, and a great pianist that many would recall. We also have this year partnered with the Portuguese Embassy to bring an international artist, Maria João from Portugal, who's also one of the respected jazz artists from there. And it's really a great lineup of great artists and with great vocalists such as Rorisang Sechele and also Brenda Mtambo, who will be animating audiences and really giving us authentic jazz music.
It sounds amazing, Vuyisile. Such a good idea as well to have it at the zoo. I mean, I kind of hope the lions will roar along with it just because it adds to the fun. I mean, it highlights different parts of Joburg's heritage. It highlights different things you can do in Joburg, and it highlights some of the great facilities that we have.
The city has always demonstrated its commitment to, position Johannesburg as a cultural destination of choice. And it is for this reason that we've also partnered with Joburg Tourism to ensure that we can attract, audiences from not just from Gauteng, but from surrounding areas in the South Africa and the subcontinent. And really, we have we've taken good care to make sure that the decibel levels are at a level that will not harm the animals, so that they can also, possibly cheer along in the music that will be delivered. But as you say, I mean, the Joburg Zoo is an iconic venue. It provides a very beautiful, intimate experience. There'll be lots of food, activities for children, and also there will be beverages that are sold inside. And Jazz in the Lights, this is the 4th installment, and we are proud to indicate that this has been an incident-free activity because of the security that we provide and making sure that our patrons are always safe and enjoy the music. And for a negligible 350 Rand, you can get a general ticket entry, but pensioners have a special price of 200 and children under 12 years old will pay 100 Rand only.
Sure. There's VIP tickets too, I think, isn't there?
There are VIP tickets, and these are hospitality tickets that give you, better views, a full experience with food and beverage, but also a guided tour around the zoo until 1 o'clock on the day, and those are only 1,500.
There's so much to sort of do at the zoo. I mean, I've always thought, I've taken my children there many times. They're getting a bit older for it now. But, I'm sure that you find that's where families go, schools must go on a regular basis. It must be quite a busy place.
The zoo is a beautiful place, except on the day it will be closed to the public. But if you get a ticket for the Jazz Festival, it will then allow you to experience the zoo. But generally, the zoo is a beautiful place for family, for children. It's really one of the most, endearing memories that many people have is a visit to the zoo as children. So this is also one of those nostalgic visits to also enjoy the zoo again, with the background of good jazz.
And Vuyisile, do you have plans? For this thing, you're going to have a whole lot of musicians there. People will come. They'll come and they'll come to see the music, and then they'll come back to the zoo again and again and again, I'm sure. And then it's also on Human Rights Day. I nearly forgot.
It is on Human Rights Day, and many would recall that this is a very important day in the history, of South Africa. When the Pan-Africanist Congress led by Robert Sobukwe, launched the Positive Action Campaign, it resulted in the tragedy of many people losing their lives in Sharpeville, and we commemorate this day, through the music of jazz and making sure that we also improve the livelihood of jazz artists by having an economic injection that is going to ensure that they are able to have income-generating opportunities. Of course, 20 years later, after Sharpeville, there was also the Langa massacre, which when people gathered in the township of Langa in Cape Town to commemorate, the Sharpeville massacre, those people also experienced another massacre. So it's really an important day in history, and we trust that we will have a meaningful commemoration, and something that people can really enjoy with their families as they reflect on the history of where the country is currently.
And you get tickets on web tickets, eh?
Tickets are available on web tickets, and for those who are close to a Pick and Pay, you can also buy that. And also on all our theaters, Joburg City theaters, you can just go to the ticket ticketing station there, and you'll get your tickets. Either Joburg Theatre, Soweto Theatre, or Roodepoort Theatre.
Vuyisile, thanks so much. Sounds amazing. Vuyisile Mshudulu is the Director of Arts, Culture and Heritage from the city of Joburg. It's about jazz, it's about the zoo, it's about families. It's this Saturday. It's Human Rights Day, and tickets at Web Tickets.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
We were talking about her earlier. Born on this day in 1988, Janae Aiko. Born in Los Angeles. Listen to her now.
Baby, while we're young, I think we should do something crazy. Like save everyone and just run away from the daily routine. Yeah, you know what I mean. Telling everybody you're mine and I like it, and I really hope you don't mind. I can't fight it. No, you know why can't I hide it? 'Cause I'm so excited that I finally decided on you. 'Cause it's been another perfect day with ya. Wanna lay with ya, spend the night with ya, then spend my life with ya. Alright, alright, alright. Yeah, you heard me right. I'll go everywhere you go. You know I'll go everywhere you go. You know I'll go everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. Baby, while we're young, we should just have fun. We should just do whatever we want and tell everyone that we fell in love with each other. Oh, that we found a one in one another. Telling everybody you're mine and I like it, and I really hope you don't mind. I can't fight it, don't fight it. No, you know why can't I hide it? 'Cause I'm so excited that I finally decided on you. Oh yeah, 'cause it's been another perfect day with ya. Wanna lay with ya, spend the night with ya, spend my life with ya. Alright, alright. You know I'm down to ride. You know I am down to ride. You know I am down to ride. Please don't break it, take it, lock it up, put me in your pocket, love. Alright, right by your side. I'll go everywhere you go. You know I'll go everywhere you go. You know I'll go everywhere you go.
Well, we're young. Janae Aiko there. Her birthday today. I've really enjoyed being with you. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. Clement is next. How do we top Janae Aiko? Who do we follow her with? Savisa Zulu. Good morning. It's 9 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Thanks, Stephen. Good morning. A suspected arrested in connection with the murder of a key witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will make his first appearance in the Brakpan Magistrates Court this morning. Marius van der Merwe, who testified under the pseudonym Witness D, was shot outside his home in December. Police have made a breakthrough in his murder case, with one suspect arrested in Johannesburg over the weekend in connection with his attack. Alfara Mushwana reports.
Witness D gave chilling testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry